Wait for it, then it's here, but maybe. Right now.
I'd like to call our meeting to order, and the first order of business is our pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't know whether or not there's some safety
I'm
announcement.
trying to put my microphone on.
Okay,
Prior to beginning our meeting, I shall note that the exits to the room are located to the side. You guys coming in, there's plenty of seats up front. Come on up, come on up. Come on up. And we're gonna let you out after. Come on up. I saved some seats. Yep, front row, babies. Plenty of room. Maura, Celine, you can come up. There's plenty of spots.
We'll let you leave early.
okay, thank you. Before we begin, I just want to remind everyone that we had an executive session prior to the open session, where there were discussions as they relate to what's on our executive session agenda. There were 3 votes taken there, 2 to related to the approving the minutes of executive sessions, and 1 vote for a homeschooling in accordance with the state law. So I'd like to have a motion to take an item out of order. I wonder what that item is.
So
The
I would like
wrestling.
to make a motion to take out of order the recognition of our Spartan wrestlers and move them up on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I guess we're here again because we have another amazing accomplishment by our students. Although I think you were here last year too, is that correct? I mean, you got to run going, guys. Just keep moving. I just want to say congratulations. I'm so glad that you're here. I can see how these programs, like they mean so much to children, and this wrestling program in particular came to our school committee, and it was, we don't need a lot of money. I think it will really drum up a lot of, support. And look at us, like all states. I mean, it's crazy. And I just, I'm just so happy we have this opportunity here for our students. I mean, we may have some struggles and we're still working through them around athletics, as far as the fields and things like that. But nothing stops you people. You kids just keep on winning. And so with that said, I would like to turn it over to the committee or the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to start by recognizing the wrestling coach, Mr. Dan Casey, for all his time and commitment with the students. It is through his dedication that this team has really blossomed into the state champions that we have before us tonight, both ladies and men. So I'd like to recognize Mr. Casey, and then I am going to let him recognize his players. So thank you, Mr. Casey, for job well done.
I could also, thank you very much. Thank you. Also, this could not be done, obviously, without the community. Our school committee, our wrestlers, and Serge Boysu, who we coached together. And without Serge coming to me 5 years ago and saying, why don't we have wrestling at Scituate High School? And me being here in the building, what we've put together the past 5 years with our wrestlers has been great. So thank you to Serge as well. And Serge, I think you should be up handing these out while I say a little something about them. All right.
And he's humble on top
He's-
of it.
So first of all, you did notice we had a few wrestlers here that were also here last year. I want to start by recognizing somebody that was a state champion at the middle school last year. He bumped up to the high school this year and has committed right away, has been part of our varsity program, and not only qualified for state, but was the Rhode Island freshman state champion this year for divisions 1, 2, and 3. And that is Drake Dumont. You are. Okay, we're gonna stand here. Okay, yes, we are gonna have you stand here, okay? I should have gone through these beforehand, but. All right, almost. Last one.
Hey,
All
Dre,
right,
maybe
thank
they
you.
could
Just-
come and stand on
Yep,
one of our
stand right
booths.
over
I'm
here.
sure the people out there would probably rather see them than. our faces.
So we are young. Another freshman that we have this year joined us. Has wrestled with Serge for a long time, and the commitment level. He comes to us. He had mentioned going into business, so he has joined our entrepreneurship program, and comes to us for our successful entrepreneurship program from South County, way down South County. Actually, was at Chariho Middle School. Robbie Newton not only won the Section 2, Section 3 championship this year, also won the freshman state championship this year. Went on to his first varsity tournament as a 9th grader, lost one match, losing to the eventual state champion for his only match that he lost, and took 3rd place at the Rhode Island varsity state tournament as a freshman. Robbie Newton.
Welcome to our district.
And lastly, this name might be getting familiar to some of you. Gabriel has just finished his junior year at Scituate High School. He won his 3rd Rhode Island State Championship, his 2nd New England State Championship. And since we finished last year and he was recognized last year, he has gone on to win one of the most prestigious high school tournaments in the country, Fargo. He placed 3rd in freestyle. He was a Greco national champion. He is going on, won another state championship, won another New England championship, won numerous other championships. Went on this past season, a month and a half ago, won the National Wrestling Coaches Association tournament in Virginia Beach, teching his way through the tournament. And for those lay people that are not sure what teching your way through, he basically mercied everybody in the country throughout his way to a national championship. And last month he went to the team trials, and at team trials he placed 3rd, and he has qualified for the Pan Am Games in Mexico City in 2 weeks, where he will have the chance to qualify for the World Tournament in Turkey the first week of August. And he'll be wrestling alongside of the best wrestlers in the United States against competition from North and South America. Gabriel Boyce. And side note, Gabriel is wearing his big red shirt today. Gabriel has just committed to Cornell University. We know for them for their academics. Great Ivy League school, but also a top 5 program in the country. And we certainly we expect great things from Gabriel next year on and off the mat. So thank you to all 3 of you. Thank you to Serge, Liz, and Deanna Newton Your support has been great as well. So thank all of you guys.
Before you boys leave, there's a couple things I'd like to add. So I allowed your coach to speak to your accolades on the mat. I knew nothing about wrestling a couple of years ago, and someone I knew became interested in wrestling. And it's quite an amazing sport. Your accolades speak for themselves on the mat. As a mother, I would like, and a member of the school committee, I would like to speak about the three of you very briefly, I promise, off the mat. These boys are the real deal. They are fierce warriors on the mat. But I cannot think of three more humble, kind, good-hearted Spartans. So it is a pleasure to have you here with us. And again, your accomplishments are amazing on the mat, but it's more off the mat. I know, Carolyn, you spoke a little bit. You guys kind of stole some of my thunder in my pre-speech, but we didn't have wrestling here a few years back. And because of people like Serge Boissou and our athletic director and Mr. Hassel, who's back there in the back somewhere, Gabriel comes from a family of athletes and world-class athletes. Unfortunately, his older siblings did not have the same opportunity that Gabriel has had to be wrestling as a Spartan. So thank you to our committee. Thank you to our taxpayers for allowing and for the ingenuity and the help to get this program going. And as I said, Serge has been in town for years and wanted nothing more than for us to have a wrestling program. So these boys are classic examples of what that program produces. It's clear to say Gabe could wrestle anywhere in the country he wanted to at a high school level and was recruited very heavily. If we did not have a wrestling program here, Gabriel Boissou would not be here. But he was able to stay here to be a Spartan, to be a leader amongst his peers. And Drake has done an amazing job as a freshman. Sometimes we forget you're a freshman because you're so big. I know, I do. And Drake's involved in a lot of different sports and gives his all at everything. My last friend I want to talk about is Mr. Newton. I've gotten to know Robbie over the last year or so. And again, you wouldn't know it by looking at him, but he's a fierce competitor on the mat.
They
But
look so sweet.
they're not. Watch them come. We'll see. They're fierce. And Robbie's here for our CTE program. And he's able to join these gentlemen in wrestling. So if our committee did not have the ability to fund these programs, I'm going to make Robbie really embarrassed for 1 second, but I think this speaks volumes when I say this. Robbie many times has lunch with a lot of the ladies, shall we say. And one of the ladies shared with me that one day during lunch, Robbie was sitting there and he said, "This school is great. Why would anybody not want to go to this school?" So Robbie never knew that I'd be in front of all these people and on television saying this about him.
Yeah.
But that's how Robbie felt. I think Robbie is a Spartan. You guys all embody the heart of a Spartan. And to all of you, I just want to say thank you for being a Spartan.
Go Cornell.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. More good things next year. Yeah, Mr. Casey, I think you should come up too. Mr. Hassel, did you have anything you wanted to say? No one's back there somewhere.
Did I say somebody was humble?
Did I add, these boys are probably three of the most humble gentlemen I have ever met.
Yeah, I want to just thank the school committee. You're right on point. We came to you about 4 years ago asking for wrestling. I reached out to the former athletic director that was here for years and asked, why have we never had wrestling? And the answer was there's no place to put the wrestling mats. And I said, I think we'll figure that out. 4 years later, we haven't figured that out, but I'm very proud of Mr. Casey, Mr. Boissou, these boys and girls in front of us. The wrestling program has just thrived at Scituate High School, and it's due to the leadership of the boys and the girls that you see here tonight. So you make us absolutely proud, and I'm glad that we get all three of you next year. as well. So good job. Congratulations, everybody.
Same time, same place next year,
Thank you,
boys. Oh my God, you get the picture. Yeah, ooh.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You keep putting us on the map.
And at this time, I would like to say, please feel free to, those of you that came for the wrestling recognition, and I know we called you up to the front, there is absolutely no need for you to stay for the entire meeting. Not that we don't love your presence, we do, but I know many of you ran from practice and some of you ran across the state to
We're
be
gonna have
here.
a very.
So
yeah.
please. Yes, yeah. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, guys.
You don't want to stay for the school lunch contract? Whatever. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's go back to the top and the next agenda item is our consent agenda. And I'd like to know if somebody would like to make a motion to approve.
I would like
Um,
to
Go ahead.
make a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the regular session minutes for May 2nd, 2023, and special session meeting minutes for May 18th, 2023. I would also like to include with that, did I hang on? Oh, you got mail. The bills to include the general fund bills for $866,132.49. Grant fund bills of $39,580.90. The Northwest Regional Special Education bills of $659.39. And the school fund service funds, school food, okay. School food service funds in the amount of $29,795.90.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. And if anyone would like to make a comment after the superintendent's report, they're more than welcome to come up and speak to the superintendent. Committee.
Thank you, Carolyn. In my report tonight, I'd like to start with the employee updates. You have the employee updates in your packet. I'm going to specifically speak at the end of this section to our two retirees that are here this evening that we would like to honor for their many years of service. But I'll start with the employee updates that are in your packet. And just today, I offered Edward Xavier Barros the position of substitute principal at the North Scituate Elementary School while Caitlin goes out to have that beautiful new baby. Mr. Barros is here with us. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And he will be spending some time with Caitlin before she leaves to ensure that we have a smooth transition for her. She is expected to return sometime in October, while things going as planned. Yes, she'll be back before we know it. I have been interviewing a number of teachers for our posted positions, and I expect to have those appointment names to the committee within a few weeks. Additionally, I've been working on the teacher recall list and expect to have that to the committee for our special meeting on Thursday so that teachers can be recalled prior to the end of the school year, and we can get those letters out by the end of the week. Building safety improvements. I'd like to inform the committee that a number of building improvements are scheduled for the next few months. I'm going to let Jason speak directly to that and go through the list of those improvements with you later on in the business agenda. Classroom walkthroughs. The administrative team has completed classroom walkthroughs for all of the buildings in the district. We found it to be a very informative activity that prompted much discussion afterwards. We had a rubric and a scoring sheet for each building. We were teamed together in pairs of two. And the data from the walks that was collected and shared will drive the work as we move together as a team. The classroom walkthroughs that will be scheduled for next year will include teachers as part of those walkthrough teams. The Learn 365 initiative, this is an initiative that's being promoted by the governor to support learning outside of school hours for our students with community organizations. I have spoken to Town Council President Abby Groves in support of the initiative. If the council moves forward in signing the MOU with the governor, we will work collaboratively with the town council to support that work. The Well Initiative, RIDE had a $3 million wellness and education initiative that was aimed to support students and educators through the development and expansion of school wellness spaces. The initiative comes as education systems nationwide reimage education in school facilities to meet the holistic needs of students in the wake of the pandemic. The funds were available on a first come, first served basis, and we were eligible for $100,000. The elementary principals and I met the day after the release of those funds and submitted the grant application that very same day. We have been approved for the full $100,000 and will begin receiving the items and furniture for those wellness areas into the elementary schools. We have an update on our transportation opt-in. As of today, we've received 355 transportation opt-in requests for next year. The breakdown as of today is 41 requests from Clayville, 49 requests from Hope, 87 requests from North Scituate, and the middle school, high school has 159 transportation requests currently. We've asked that all requests be submitted by June 15th, so I will have a better report for the committee in the July meeting. The enrollment projections, as requested previously, are in your packets. The numbers stay pretty consistent. Our kindergarten enrollment as of today, we have 25 students, K students enrolled at Clayville, 26 students for Hope, 36 students at North Scituate, for a total of 87 kindergartners registered at this time. Our contract class size is 22. So as of today, we will need to move 3 students from Clayville to one of the other elementary schools. And that concludes my report for this evening. Do you have a question? Do you want me to wait for the retirees?
I have.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
some-
can we do that?
Yeah.
Can we do your report?
Yep.
Get to that? Okay, so just a couple things.
Sure.
So I'm looking at the numbers that you provided. So the numbers that you provided for Clayville at 25, so that
Yes.
exceeds by 3. Now
3.
Hope has 26.
Yep.
So would that mean that 4 students are moving from?
There are 2 classrooms at Hope, 2 classrooms at North Scituate, and there's only 1 classroom at Clayville. So the class sizes at Hope right now, if we divided it equally, would be 13.
So I want to just put this out there, and it might not be a popular thought.
Mhm.
So you're going to have a class size of 22 at Clayville, but yet class sizes of 13 at Hope.
Mhm.
That doesn't sound too equitable to me.
It is not equitable. The issue is that if I move all of those kids from Clayville to other elementary schools, I can do that if that is the will of the committee. But those Clayville parents that I move, when I have not reached a maximum class size, will not be happy.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Clayville parents want their kids to go to Clayville.
So-
The 3 that I have to move
Yep.
will be unhappy as it is.
Can I just add to something before? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I
No,
wanted to-
do you
I
see what
wanted to
I'm-
comment about that, but.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I get it. And I
Yes.
know that it's painstaking, the process that's occurred over the years to try and keep people in their home school where they live, where they do. But again, I'm looking at it from a equity piece. I'm looking at it from a budgetary constraint. So if we're going to move at 3, so it's a difference of 1 child. You're moving 3 kids from Clayville.
Mhm.
And these are just students. I don't know who these people are or
Right.
what it is. but then Hope, who's 4 over, you would still have room for them at a North Situate.
No, Hope is not 4 over. There are 2 classrooms at Hope.
I get it, but if we're saying that the capacity size
Is 22
is
per
20
room,
22 per room.
right?
Do we require 2 classes? If we brought that down, that's 4 over.
Oh, you're saying.
And then you would have 40 something, so it would be equitable if you put these numbers together and divided it by, so if
That
there,
would be fiscally really expensive. for
Yeah.
us.
When we have open seats in other places,
no, it's fiscally irresponsible for us to run a class that if we have 13 kids in it.
well, but we have an opportunity to move students into those seats. We're
Right.
talking seats here, so there's opportunity. The only reason why I would like to hold the class size as low as possible at Hope is because you have a very high performing school like Clayville. It's very high performing. They can handle the extra kids in those classrooms, where in Hope, the smaller the class size, I feel like there may be opportunities for us to really provide and differentiate the instruction for those kids. And let's finally move our Title I school. It hasn't really moved.
I
up
think
to our
also the other risk
expectations.
that you run into is, as a parent, I would not be happy if I had a kindergarten and then I also had other children in other grades who are at Clayville, and I'm gonna move my kindergarten to another school. That would complicate matters.
So
I would
historically,
give the option of those parents, you could say you're gonna have a maximum of class of 22. You do have an option if you want to go to one of the other schools who have a smaller classroom.
it's not an option at some point. If there's a maximum class size, you can, I mean, this has been going on for years. So when our kids went through, there was 2 of everything at Clayville, then everything went down, everything went. So I'm looking at equity and fiscal responsibility. So if somebody is going to, we can't have 25 kids in a kindergarten class. That exceeds the limits. So are we gonna have 12 and 13 at Clayville? No, that's not fiscally possible to open
Right.
it up. So they're going to have to move, and I know there's a lot of intricacies involved with this, reaching out to parents, is it the kids?
Busing.
So you wanna move more students from Clayville and fill those empty seats to get it to more like 18 and 16?
That's not, no.
Okay.
I feel like
I don't
I'm,
know what
I
she's
don't
saying
know.
No,
either.
what I'm saying is Hope has 20, look at these numbers. Clayville has 25.
Mhm,
So you're going to remove 3 to
mhm,
bring them to 22. I absolutely get that.
Right,
So Hope, why are we running 2 sessions if there are, it's a difference of 1 student? If you removed 4 students from Hope and placed them at, you're still under class maximums and you would have equity in the number of students.
so put the 4 Hope students at North
So
Scituate.
you,
So, and you'd run once, like, it's, I mean, am I the only one that's seeing this?
No, I get it. Got a principal here. Can I speak to it?
Yeah.
Do you mind? So. You're gonna, if we do that, we've done that in the past, you're gonna put every class at capacity. Then once you hit over 22, once you hit 23, full-time paraprofessional in that classroom is required, and busing is gonna cost even more money.
Right.
The one bubble classroom causes huge issues for teachers who are not familiar with the curriculum, and they're getting bumped from 2nd grade to 5th grade to 4th grade to 3rd grade. So I know we've done that in the past, and I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago, we just said we're going to keep it a 2-track school at Hope at North Situate to kind of
Well, that's not,
avoid those problems. But you will put everybody at capacity. That's the only thing. And then once you hit the 23 for kindergarten,
so I think the error in that, and I'm not saying academically it's not best, and I'm just saying what my opinion of this is. We cannot just say, so Clayville had 2 of every class all the time. Enrollment was down. These schools cannot just be slated for 2 of each class at every level. It depends on enrollment numbers.
right, we had to add a 5th grade last year because we had, the enrollments were going up, but I guess I just want to be sure that we have continuity of the instruction. Because when you have ebbs and flows of enrollment, you're gonna have you're going to have years where you're going to get these higher and lower. But for us, if the continuity is the teacher, if we can keep the teacher in front of that classroom and get that teacher trained and professionally developed on the curriculum for that grade level, I think that's really important. And more importantly, I really do think Hope, those students, they need more. And I think the smaller class size will give them that opportunity. I don't know. Do you agree or?
Yeah, I would not be recommending to the committee that you cut a K teacher either at Hope or at North Situate. I think that once you do that, you run the risk of, as Caitlin said, those K rooms getting maxed out at 22 and 23, and the added costs of transportation, because if we move students, we have to transport. If a parent requests that their child attend another school, they transport. So you add those added costs of transportation in, and I think it gets more pricey than what you really would realize that it would be. It's not an additional cost. These are the teachers that we've had. It would just be a cost savings. Now, if we want to look at kindergarten numbers and make a long range plan for what you want to do around those class sizes, I think that we can do that. But I don't think it's wise to just cut a K teacher at this point.
Are you trying to say we could find a fiscal efficiency by reducing
Yeah.
a class?
So,
Right,
and that's,
Is that what
yes,
you're?
yes,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
not saying we're
I-
doing this
I was
today. I'm
missing
not
that.
saying that a section, a teacher, it's $100,000. So, and I'm not looking to get rid of any teachers, and I'm not looking to
Yep.
skew. So, but as piece of equity. So again, if we're gonna have, 13 kids in a class, that's wonderful. Or so, and what are we gonna have? 16 at like, oh, maybe.
Yep, 16 at Hope.
It's-
Well, I'm thinking
yes.
Hope. It depends on where the children that we have to remove from Clayville live, whether they end up going to Hope.
Caitlin, I
North
welcome you to come
Situate.
back and speak on it.
I was just saying, they end up usually at North Situate.
Yeah, because of
Hope is
busing,
smaller than
right.
last year. So we're already at 18 and 18. So we'll be closer to that 20, which we
Yep.
have been, in the past.
Lori, is it customary for more people to move in between now and September?
We'll get a few more, yeah. Yeah, we'll get a few more.
I do want to bring to the committee's attention that in the documents that are in our folder, there is an enrollment analysis. And I think there does need to be, to Colleen's point, some long-term planning. I don't think
Yeah.
these numbers warrant it, but the elementary numbers that we thought were going to increase more than what they have been, I think it needs a second look.
Mhm.
And really almost like a 3-year plan to say, okay, here's where we're going to be 3 years from now. Where are we going to be in the middle school? Do we have to ramp up and get those other teachers back?
Mhm.
Or it just needs attention,
Yeah.
But
don't
I would
disagree.
encourage the school committee, if you haven't seen that enrollment document, I think that's going to actually be the conversation that the hard conversation, Colleen, that I think we're going to need to have.
So, and the reality is our job is to use these budget dollars as best that we can. Absolutely. And I'm not looking to disrupt the apple cart, but the thought that there will always be a set amount of teachers. We've done it at the middle school. We've done it at the high school. As enrollments change, our job isn't to keep people employed. Our job is to educate children.
Agreed.
So fiscally, we have a responsibility to match those numbers with those kids.
We cut a middle school team the first year I was here because the numbers warranted it. So
We'd be
agreed.
right at that cap though if we eliminated, we would be
I just think
right
we need to have an
there.
eye towards the future on what our enrollments are and
Exactly.
what.
I agree with you on that. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be take that long. Can you, your weekly members have been talking about these data visits. Can you,
So-
you talk, you want to speak to it, Ozzy, when you come up, but I'm not sure, like, can you tell the committee more about what they are?
The
and-
classroom
what's-
walkthroughs.
That was
What's-
different than the data visits, I think. That's what
Yeah,
or
the classroom
visits?
walkthroughs are different than the data visits.
Okay, so not to take up everyone's time, and can you give me what your classroom visits, what you would hope to achieve by that and what you found? And then I'd like to hear about the data visits, maybe.
So I'd like to
come
do a
up.
full presentation for you on the classroom walkthroughs so that we can share with you.
But what
all-
was the goal?
Yeah, what was
of
the purpose of it?
project?
To see the,
And I think it's a great idea, by the way.
Yeah, no, I was kind of just wondering, is it like to look at like
it's to
the
look at the
environment?
teaching and learning that is going on,
Okay.
to look at the standards
great,
and the instruction, and then determine what we saw and
What they need.
where we need to go.
Yeah.
So we can lay it all out for you and do a complete presentation on the
Okay.
tool that we
I
use
really
so that you can get a
like to-
copy of that.
I
and
just
see
didn't
the data.
understand it.
Yep, the
And
data.
Okay, I just want to add to that because I was viewing it a little bit different, like, and so I was looking, it was like an environmental walkthrough type of thing,
No.
right? So I'm asking moving forward if that's something that could, and I get it, that's much more in depth, and I'm not saying right now.
Sure.
I think there is one of the things that lacks throughout some of our schools, maybe more at the secondary level than at the elementary level. I haven't been through all of them recently. Is again, this room is new and this room is updated. As we're doing these walks, if we can actually look at the environment and the furniture and
The middle school's gotten all new furniture.
Okay.
The entire buildings. I know that we've, did Mike leave us?
He just stepped out with,
I know that we've, bought a lot of furniture, for the high school, and just, spent more, about 40,000 more grant money that we had that had to be spent on furniture, and Mike used it, for the high school. That's why we took the 100,000 wellness money and bought furniture for the elementary schools. So yes, agreed, but we've made a concerted effort.
yeah, no, and I don't want, it just,
Yeah.
it's, and it was neglected for years.
Yeah,
So-
there are other things like Jay and I talk about ceiling tiles, and
When you try to leave it, you
I'm
just,
like, I'm sorry.
yeah, no,
No, I was just talking about the furniture that we've ordered for the high school and the concerted effort we've made to try to get furniture needs met at the building level.
I can speak to it. Do you want me to speak to it?
no, I think you should get, I think you should get your
Go
kid.
get your daughter at dance.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I would like to hear that. I think with Colleen, though, it is an opportunity to look at the not just the instructional delivery and what's happening, with teaching and learning within the classroom, but I think the physical. And I think we heard that through the union negotiations and the teachers. It's an opportunity to look at the environment as well. I know at the building committee, we mentioned about how the blinds, some of them open, some of them close, and they're all over the place. But now that we're putting that film on, I don't think we're going to need those blinds. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I look forward to that presentation. That would be great. So I would like to invite anyone up that would like to make a comment.
I just
regarding-
want
Oh, yeah,
to recognize,
Please.
thank you.
Oh, okay.
I know.
We have two retirees that I would like to recognize this evening. Cindy Gould, our reading specialist from North Situate, gave us 28 fabulous years, and we are
Cindy.
forever grateful for that. So thank you, Cindy. And Anita Crable, the paraprofessional who's worked at the middle school and the high school for 25
What?
years. So
Yes, you can.
thank you,
You should
Anita.
clap, and yes, you should. A quarter of a century.
We have some flowers for the ladies, and we have cupcakes.
I would be remiss.
Comment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you for your dedication. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I forgot. And the clock.
Oh.
I'm
I missed thinking.
Sorry, Cindy.
Oh, no, no worries. No worries. I would be remiss to leave without having some final comments to make. So first of all, I would like to say that I have been fortunate in my life to have a job that someone pays me to do. But first and foremost, I was fortunate to work in a profession that I love. And not a lot of people can say that about their lives. Many of us have to work in jobs that we do to satisfy other needs. But my mother would tell you, where she's still with us, that from the time I was a very little kid, I was teaching my own brothers and sisters in the basement. So she called it a calling, and I've often described it that way. So I thank God for the calling in my life to be a teacher. And not to correct Lori, but actually I have more years of experience than 28. I've been a contracted employee for 28 years. I subbed here for 4. So actually I'm going on my 30th year with you in Scituate, although many more years and many other educational experiences. I wanted to say tonight to begin to thank my husband, John, who in the early years of my education was actually the financier of the classroom. So in the early year, he made sure that every child in my classroom had plenty of books, even when our budget might have only allowed for a $100 book purchase. He never wanted our kids to go without. So whatever I said my students needed, he supported that. He shared the bed with journals and vacations with report cards. And so, and I'm sure Mrs. Socio could report that the beautiful posters that we've had at our school for many years for Reading Week have come from my husband's ability to be able to do all of that. So I really thank him for the support. It takes a special spouse to be able to share the life with their spouse, and because teaching is a part of your life, right? As well, I wanted to thank my children for sharing me with this profession. And in some cases, I actually was my own children's teacher. So my daughter will tell you that in the 5th grade, when she was in my math and social studies class, I didn't always call on her when she raised her hand. I had to explain to her many years later that that was just part of the way teachers are. So I wanted to thank them for their years of sharing mom with the school system. And it's not always an easy thing to, my children came to this school district and system from the time they were in kindergarten through 12th grade. And so being their teacher and being here means that lots of my friends had eyes on them all the time. So I thank my teacher friends for that. I would be remiss for stepping away from the microphone without thanking the administration, first and foremost for the school committee members. And some of you, our own children, have taken this journey together. So, and I've had the pleasure of having Colleen's children as well while teaching at Clayville, and many as either sub or that. So I thank you for the work that you do, and I understand that it is underpaid and underappreciated. However, you do it for much in the same reason that I came into teaching, and that is it's a belief in what we do, right? So we're here because we have a belief in what we do. I described to you last Christmas at a time when I was feeling disheartened by some of the things that were going on in the district. And then Ozzy came into the picture. And so Ozzy brought a breath of fresh air, an inspiration to the district, and a hope for me. And so while I leave, I am grateful to see that the district has taken on such a high quality, loving mom and teacher and administrator to support the work that that we're called to do here as well. To my administrator, my current administrator, and although I've had 7 or 8 principals in the course of my lifetime, to Mrs. Socio, I'm calling her Mama now, only just in these last few weeks, but at school I call her Mrs. Socio. I did want to say a word of thanks and to remind the committee that she is a person who is not often understood in the sense of what value she brings, because the first thing that most people say is, oh, you're so young, and when they meet her, and if they work with her any length of time, she's an old soul who absolutely brings to her job such wisdom and maturity that surpasses the years that she is in her age. So I would like to thank her for working side by side with her. So, and our school is very much a school of collaboration. And so she leads the team, but she recognizes the voices of the educators that work with her. She never put it in the perspective of I'm your boss, but that we're in this together. So I did want to thank her for that. And lastly, to all the K-12 educators that I've worked with, because I actually have worked in every school in this district, including the middle school and high school. And in fact, Mike was in one of my classes many years ago when I think he graduated in 2001. So Scituate is a wonderful community. I recently moved from Scituate to Connecticut with my husband, but I have 45 plus years of having been a member of the community. And it's rare that you get to teach in the community that you live. So, you know, that I came into this wanting very much to be a community member who did the best that I could every single day. And so I thank you for the opportunity. It's a weird thing to sort of think about not doing it any longer. So
Cindy, I have to jump in for 1 second,
Go
because
ahead.
the whole time you were doing
you're thinking
your-
the We Choose, you're thinking the Harvest Festival.
No, oh my God, no, there's so much good there is. I do. And I can't thank you enough for your, and it really is for your service. I'm getting a little clump here. For your service and your dedication to this district and for showing up time after time at these meetings. Just good, and mostly to bring a different perspective, always saying it with, you know, from coming from the best place, looking at what's best for our students. But what pains me the most, because as you're talking and going on, she's retiring, and everything, I did not realize that you had moved from Scituate. Because I was going to grab you on the way out and be like, when are you going to run for school committee?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
You know, but my heart speaking, you've given enough to us. So
Well, as I close in thought, just this piece, and that is, Mary Fogel used to have a poster in her classroom that talked about all the things you would learn in kindergarten. And when she left and packed up all of her things, the room seemed rather empty without her. And I think that for many of us that leave the profession or leave the district, it is a bittersweet moment for us. So thank you for the many years of it all. Thanks.
thank you.
Cindy, you walked away too fast, but I will let you sit down.
Yeah. And your clock.
Well, now stay there. You and I have known each other for a long time. Our children went through school together, and I believe you know how much I respect you. And even though you're in Connecticut, I have your number.
Yes, that's true.
And I will need advice from you from time to time. And I know that you're always open for a call. So thank you. Yes, thank you.
All I know is that the other person retiring is smiling from ear to ear. Yeah, are you happy? Yeah, you're finally, oh yeah, she's like, oh yeah. Well, I wish you both lots of luck. Cindy, thanks for everything, for your policy knowledge, for the work at the state level and bringing that expertise into our hometown has been invaluable. And I can't even imagine to think about how many children's lives you've touched. So thank you again. And it's hard. Hey, I had to go to counseling when I retired, so I get it. So, but thank you. Are we ready for, okay. So at this time, I'd like to, just welcome anyone that would like to come up after the superintendent's report and make a comment or, ask a question or about the work. Okay.
I don't know how low to bring it. Hi, my name is Caroline Schmaling. I live at 45 Colonial Road, and I'm a graduating senior here at Scituate High School. I'm here tonight because a member of our community offered me a cheer scholarship in the amount of $500. Mr. Hummel reached out to my mom and asked that I apply. I did, and I won. I sincerely thought I won because he told my mom what a wonderful essay I wrote. I thought I won because I've been a cheerleader at Scituate for the last 7 years. After seeing Mr. Hummel's live post during our town's Memorial Day parade, I cried. Actually, I sobbed. Why was a grown man saying I took something as if I didn't earn it? I really didn't understand. I didn't even know him. My parents explained his prior involvement with the Scituate Business Association, and then I understood that he was only using me to get to my dad, and that was very painful. Since as a family, we don't trust that a personal interaction with him won't become another fiasco, I am left with no choice but to return the check to him through the school. I am here to ask the school to please return this check to Mr. Hummel. I have spoken with Mr. Hassel and Officer Parenti. Officer Parenti has offered to be the one who physically returns the check, and I would like to take him up on his offer. I would also really encourage future cheerleaders to avoid applying for this scholarship. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Caroline. You earned everything, and you have done an amazing job, not just in cheerleading, but as a student here, and it's all culminating on Friday. And, don't let this one incident put a damper on you. Just keep moving forward because you've got some great things ahead of you, and
Carol, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry that happened to you.
yeah.
I am. That's not appropriate. You deserved better than that. But you speaking so eloquently tonight to us, shows me what type of person you are, to rise above. And, I truly believe in every adversity lies the seed of opportunity. And the way that you were able to present yourself tonight, and to rise above, how a grown, we'll just say to rise above, we'll leave it at that. And I can see by the beaming fit, like their faces, how very, very proud they are. But again, I just like I spoke to the Spartans of earlier, I'm getting, you can tell it's graduation week. I'm getting caught up. It just makes me so proud as a member of this committee to see the amazing young women and men that you guys have become. So as Carolyn said, rise.
Caroline, I want to let you know that I am not aware at all of what you're talking about. And I'm saying that there are probably many other people in this community that have no idea what happened in a good way. So not everybody is aware, not everybody's thinking what you might be thinking of what other people are reading into this. And I'm not even going to look, I don't want to know, because I was your judge at senior project and you did amazing here. You didn't even have to do all that breathing and calm yourself down. I am so impressed with you as a young person. And I'm really glad that you're a member of the Spartan family. And even though you're graduating, come back and don't forget us.
Carolyn, I just want to say, first of all, don't let one person represent our community. You rose above it. I hope your parents do too. There's respect from this entire community. Not that anybody wants to follow any of the statements that were said, but just rise above it completely, and you have. And I support your parents in that as well.
Okay. Well, again,
Honestly, I just want, honestly, you're gonna face many obstacles in life. And you wish you don't have to, but you will. And you gotta keep striving to do the best for you and your family. This is an obstacle that you faced at a young age. It shows me that the love that you have for your mom and dad and how much respect you have for them to make a decision like this. And it's going to make you a better person in life.
and again, I think, there was some discussion about parents, and I just think about what you all do for this community, way well beyond the schools. And it's and for the schools. So it was unfortunate, but I know you're going to be a rock star. So just keep moving up, because the sky's the limit. So thank you for coming up and sharing that. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and make a statement or a comment or ask a question? Okay.
Is anyone at home? Do we have to?
Yep. How about at home?
If anyone at home wants to make a comment, please hit the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen or under the more menu.
Okay. All right. Well, we had celebrations and we had announcements tonight. Now we're going to get into the real exciting stuff, the Director of Finance report. So, not that I don't think it's exciting.
If I afforded those wrestlers the time to go, I certainly need to afford this. Anybody at this point, please. Not that we don't love the audience, but please, there's no offense taken.
And there are cupcakes in the back. Take one on your way out. If you want to.
Stephanie, you know how to clear a room, I'll tell you that.
I sure do.
So.
It is funny that you guys said that because I was gonna start off by saying that it's in a very exciting time of year for me where I'm working in 2 different fiscal years at the same time. We're working in FY 24 to closely monitor and align our new budget, but we're also closing out and reconciling our old budget with the auditor and the town. We've been working hand in hand with the town and auditor to ensure all required documentation and deadlines for items currently requested are being successfully met. We have a standing appointment with the auditor to continue to file and go through all items. And that's where we are right now. It's just the very beginning phases of the audit, but everything is perfect at this time.
For the moment. But I
Yes.
just, I just want to remind the committee what a difference a year and a half makes because thank you, Lori and Stephanie,
Thank
for
you.
stabilizing the finances of this district, and we can breathe a little bit. So again, you've come light years, and the committee is here. I know there's some new information coming out from our state legislature that's going to have an impact. Hopefully it'll be a positive impact, but we'll talk more about that on Thursday. Does anybody have any questions for Stephanie? So I do want to be sure that we continue to update the committee on what's happening with our facilities, what's being discussed at the building committee. And more importantly, I wanted us to get an update on a project that's spanning not just our school district, it's spanning our school districts as well into Rockland Oaks. And so tonight, I think we have a guest speaker here, and I asked to be briefed in figuring out where that is and what the timelines are for that project, because as you know, the committee was very interested, obviously, in upgrading our water systems here. It was never on our list. We kept thinking we can get by another, 5 or 10 years, but the priorities down at Rockland helped us revisit that. And I would like to make sure that I understand what we can expect here this summer and what we can expect for our neighbors at Rockland Oaks. So come on up. I know, I saw him, and Bob we wouldn't have this project where it is right now if it wasn't for Bob. You are like,
Now, Carol,
no, I know that most of it is done, so I can give you some accolades, but thank you.
actually, I apologize. I only have 4. Oh, okay. If we could, that'll help a little bit. I'm Bob Ferrari, President of Northeast Water Solutions. My firm, we had done the evaluations, just a quick recap. We did the evaluations of the water system, the original evaluations, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, made a series of recommendations at the time. Since then, well, actually, let me back up one more time. Your water system is one of your critical life safety utilities for the school. If you don't have water, the school can't function. One of the interesting things about water supply systems is you don't think about it until you have a problem. Okay, and then all of a sudden it becomes one of the more important things on the agenda. So part of my job and this program that was initiated by Rhode Island Department of Health, which oversees all the public water systems in the state, is we were commissioned to go and start evaluating, particularly for rural schools, their water systems, because it was recognized that it's critical infrastructure. And if you've been occasionally reading the news about anything water related, if anything else, we're getting more and more regulations, and there's more and more things we're concerned about. In the case of Scituate, the high school, middle school facility here, you had most of your equipment was original to the original construction of the school in the 1950s. These are the original wells. By the way, well number 1, which is roughly under us, was one of the 3 original wells. It's no longer in service, and it's now in the middle of the school as opposed to being on the outside of the school with the expansions. But you had your original infrastructure was, it's approximately 70 years old, and it's way past its effective life, and was showing that. Long story short, we did an evaluation. Ultimately, it morphed into an improvements design for the school. And this was before Rockland Oaks kind of came to the fore. Okay. So we were moving forward, looking at, what were the improvements the school needed, and the design work was done. But as we were completing the design work, now things began happening at Rockland Oaks, and it had originally been a public water system at Rockland Oaks, a standalone system. Then they did some things there mechanically, and it became a private system. They had a lot of issues with the system, and ultimately, basically the Department of Health said, that's it, you're going to be a public system again. However, they are barely functional from the standpoint of their own water supply there. Barely don't have enough water to function, and it's of extremely poor quality, and we don't need to get into that right now. So we looked at a whole series of options, and the conclusion was, because it was highly unlikely we could develop any new water source on the Rockland Oaks site, that the best option was in all likelihood to supply it from the school's public water system. So as we completed the design of the improvements for the school, we did include some allowances or consideration that if it could be worked out, the school could provide service to Rockland Oaks. Now, but it's still being pursued as two separate projects, interrelated but separate. So the school's project is, is significantly ahead of schedule-wise the Rockland Oaks part of the project. The design was completed. It was reviewed, approved by Rhode Island Department of Health. And unless something has changed, my understanding is that the project is going to be principally financed through Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. The school is eligible for certainly $200,000 of principal forgiveness relative to the capital cost. And I think there's going to be some other opportunity with Rhode Island Department of Education for some reimbursements through the housing assistance program. Yes, Carolyn.
Bob, one of the things that I had hoped for and that I was advocating for was that the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, when approving the application, would recognize that we're actually sharing some of the infrastructure that's being put in
Correct.
with Rockland Oaks. So like
Correct.
the holding tank, is it, were we able to get any kind of consideration for a portion of that, all in addition to the 200,000? Would that have also been some type of an offset for things like a holding tank, which we're sharing with Rockland Oaks?
Short answer is yes. And I'll provide you some detail on that in a
Do we
couple of
need
minutes.
to do anything to apply for that, or?
Not right now. No.
Okay. Are you gonna walk us and help us guide that through with us?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's like,
Okay.
it's in my head and I'm like, how are we gonna get our arms around this? Like, how are we gonna get that extra money to?
Just so everyone knows, Carolyn's got my cell phone number and she's not afraid to use it. Okay.
We're all shocked by that.
I'm sure. But actually it's an excellent question. And in fact, and I'm going to come back and specifically address some key items there. Okay. Now, the high school, middle school portion of the project, it was all approved. We went out to bid. Bids have come in. The bids were a little higher than we were anticipating, but there's reasons for it that are legitimate. And the memo that I handed out to you provides a breakdown of how we've separated the projects. Okay. And if we look at that for a second, okay, it's a 2-page memo. I wrote it to Jay. On the first page, you see the header here, high school, middle school, public water system improvements. Okay. That identifies what is really involved as far as the high school project that is theoretically being funded, on this initial program with the infrastructure bank. Okay. If you want me to go through the details, I will, but suffice to say, as you were coming to the library and coming down the hallway, if you looked out the windows, you see the courtyard area. That's where the new pump house is going to go. Okay. Now there's a big mound in the courtyard area. Underneath that mound of earth are two approximately 70-year-old steel tanks that are in incredibly poor condition, okay, that have to be removed. And we have to put in a retaining wall. We have to remove those tanks through the original school foundation, repair that wall, and then we get to build a new pump house there with all the components inside there. And then there's demolition work inside the existing water room, et cetera.
Just because my heart's starting to race. I'm assuming, I'm hoping I'm correctly assuming that all of that extensive work is worked into the numbers that we've approved and done.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more
Yes.
than just putting the well in, obviously, that's all encompassing.
Well, in this scope of work, there's no new well because that's in the other project. And that's part I'm going to come to in a minute. Okay. All right. Now, there are some things that aren't in this scope of work. For example, we don't have a new generator in this scope of work. You've got an antique sitting out there for a generator, okay, but it's going to have to be replaced, okay? We don't have, in this scope of work, we want to have a third well. That's not in the high school scope of work. That's in the Rockland Oaks scope of work, okay? Of course you do, because it's going to be on the school's property. All the
That well is not supporting, we're not drawing from it and using it
yes,
here.
you are. Yes.
The third well we will be.
Yep. Well, number one is no longer hasn't been used for years.
Okay.
You're currently using wells number 2 and number 3. We evaluated and tested those wells last August and September. We're going to add well number 4. Wells 2, 3, and 4 are going to pump the water to the storage tank in the new pump house. And then we're going to have a distribution pump system in the new pump house, which will pump the water to the school and the campus here, as well as ultimately will pump water down to Rockland Oaks. Okay. So portions of the work for the new pump house, for example, instead of what they call a duplex pumping system, it's going to be a triplex pumping system. However, that third pump will be part of the Rockland Oaks project. Okay. And a portion, say, of the tank capacity, we're going to have to, we have to work the numbers and work some credits back and forth, but we'll get that done. And we're grinding through that. Okay. The pipeline going down to Rockland Oaks, that will be in the Rockland Oaks portion of the project. Well number 4 is in the Rockland Oaks portion of the project, but that well, as I said a minute ago, will be putting water into the school system. Okay. The generator is part of the Rockland Oaks portion of the project. Okay. Other electrical improvements that to facilitate the new generator are going to be part of the Rockland Oaks portion of the
That we
project. Okay.
benefit.
That the school benefits, well, other than the pipeline going to
Yeah.
Rockland Oaks, the school pretty much benefits from everything.
The whole Rockland Oaks system is sitting on the
The
school district.
water supply and storage and pumping system that will supply Rockland Oaks in its entirety is sitting on the school's
So I'm going to
property.
dummy this down for us. I think it'd be the easiest, like if I'm understanding correctly, just to
Sure.
kind of, it sounds as though, so obviously we needed the improvements. We were going forward to the improvements. Rockland Oaks come in. It needs to be, we still need what we need, but there needs to be more done to it in order to help our neighbors.
That's correct.
What I'm hearing you say is that anything, so obviously we have different funding sources. And if memory serves me correct, I think most of what is done when it's called the Rockland Oaks project is federal monies that are coming in. It's not coming off the backs of taxpayers or off the backs.
That's-
So.
Well, it's federal money,
Yes,
so,
yes, I'm sorry.
ultimately it's coming from taxpayers.
Local tax rates, right? So we're not
Correct.
looking to bond to
Correct.
do to the whatever.
Correct.
So what I'm hearing is anything that can legally or, ethically be appropriately, is probably the best word, right?
Yeah.
Be under the Rockland Oaks project is going to be under the Rockland Oaks project. We, as a school system or school district, hence NAK, are going to finance the part that is specific to us through the infrastructure. So we wouldn't be getting more money from infrastructure, but you're looking at actually taking these projects out and attributing them to Rockland Oaks. Is that?
That's correct. Now I want to stress this. This is a completely transparent process.
Yeah.
It's completely within rules and regulations, okay?
Has it all been approved already by?
Well, the whole Scituate High School portion of
How
the project's been
about
approved. Well, no, we're completing that design and we're going to be submitting that.
Yeah, 'cause
very
I did
shortly.
have some questions on the timeline for Rock.
Well, yeah, that we do. Okay. Here's what we hope to accomplish with that. We have to have the improvements on the school site completed before we can really serve them. Okay.
Oh, I
Realistically.
get that,
Yeah.
but we
You
can
know,
go for the approval.
I mean, if I built a pipeline from the school there today, I couldn't put the water in the pipeline. Okay. So the thought process is that when we're pretty much getting completed and fully commissioned and validated of the new school system, we'll be then rolling into the construction of the Rockland Oaks portion of the project. Okay.
Question for you about applying for the RIB money. If do we have to have our system completely in place in order for us to go forward
No.
as a town?
No.
So they'll know that there's a couple of phases. to-
Oh, yeah, that's already been established.
Okay.
Okay. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, and again, and Jay heard me quote Yogi Berra about an hour ago, you know, Yogi's famous line is never over till it's over. But the anticipation here is that because we're keeping the Rockland Oaks project as a standalone, so to speak, because they are eligible for up to 100% principal forgiveness. Okay. The school's eligible for $200,000 of principal forgiveness. They're eligible for 100%. Okay.
We're recouping our 200,000 on our end of things.
And then what's left, we're leveraging. And then what's left, we're leveraging housing aid from the state education.
Yeah,
department.
that's the thought process. And when I start getting into discussions of the housing assistance or housing aid, the water's getting a little deep for me, no pun intended. It's not my area of expertise, but I've been involved with other,
So
school projects in
when
the
you-
past.
let's talk about the timeline, Bob. So our design, thank you very much, is done. And we've gotten the bond through the legislature.
Mhm.
And the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank has approved it.
Right. If I have one question. What was the maximum bond value that the legislature
1
approved?
million.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just was
But
curious about that.
that's why I'm trying to get as much relief as possible for the taxpayers here.
Mhm.
Because I know there's funding sources, so we don't need to spend all that. And they don't need to pay all that back. And that's why,
Right. Absolutely.
I'm going after some of these other places or advocating for it. So when do you anticipate us breaking ground here at the middle and high school for the
Okay.
water system?
We had
I
a
know
public-
we're still in school,
Well,
but
we had a public bidding process.
yeah,
okay.
we approved the contract.
Oh, okay. All right, good. That was the key because
Mhm.
we had I had a conversation with the contractor who would be awarded the project on Friday
Okay.
morning. Basically, I said I have a meeting with the school committee on Tuesday evening, and hopefully I'll have because he's anxious because what the key here is there's a lot of critical work that we want to get done during the summer because otherwise it would be extremely disruptive to school operations. So we couldn't start really before the school year ends, but we've got to get a lot of stuff
We
done
understood that. We
over
actually
the summer
we
period.
pulled together as a special meeting.
Mhm.
We called a special meeting just to approve that.
So Bob, you know how you said she called you? Well, she can't call us, but she makes it, we were on it. Like as soon as this came in, we met specifically and we voted. It's like, we are going to do everything we possibly can do to keep this.
So you can tell the guy he can start Monday.
Well,
No.
well,
Okay.
yeah, I
You
thought,
can
well,
start
but no,
with
now,
yourself. You can
again, as I said before, everything is fully transparent and we're playing by a very explicit set of rules and
My
protocols.
concern is, I know that we're gonna get out of the gate the minute that school is out, and I know that this work is going to happen. And then when I sat in on that conference, that Zoom meeting with you, got all of you, and at that time, there was more research and design work that needed to happen on the Rockland Oak in
Correct.
order for
Correct.
you to do the full design that we needed to use to get it approved and to go to bid. You had talked about that would possibly be sometime in September or October. Is that September, the end of September?
I would say, yeah, a September, October timeframe is probably still
So if we go
reasonable.
to bid, well, whoever goes out to bid in early, at the end of October, is it possible that I feel so bad for those people. They have no
Yeah.
water.
It's a
And
tough
so is it
situation.
possible that they can get the water? If, I guess, I'm not articulating this, I'm so sorry. I've been telling Jay, do as much as you can this summer, as far as you can go.
Right.
To get the piping, everything over there.
Right. That's
And then
yes.
hopefully we can get some work done if we have a mild winter. Is that,
Oh, the anticipation would be
We're
that
gonna
if we
break
get out,
ground
if we get out to bid in September, October, the idea would be that we want to go get through the contract approval process and
Start
and get into
breaking
construction
ground
ASAP.
late fall?
We can construct depending on how if we don't have a severe winter, I mean, we can construct right all the way to the end of the year, certainly. And
And if
yeah.
we have a similar winter or not too bad of a winter, would they get their water by this time next year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This time
'Cause I
next
was
year.
hoping like March, but.
Oh no,
March ended.
my expectation would be it'd be
They
long
have to
before
wait
this.
till next summer, and I went,
No,
why?
no.
You know?
No,
Okay.
we want to bring water to the Rockland Oaks a lot less than a year from now. I can tell you
Okay,
that right now.
fantastic.
I can't
Okay,
give you
that's-
anything
that's-
more
that was
defined than
my
that.
worry. I didn't
No.
want us to, because of the timeline of you getting the final phases of that done, if it was gonna have to stop because of because of the seasons that we're.
Well,
moving
there
into.
can be some weather impacts, but
Yeah.
we want to push that very hard. Now, where we are with the schools project, we have to issue the executed contract, the notice of award, notice to proceed. The contractor is ready to go the moment.
Who
that they
has
get-
to issue all that?
Well, theoretically, we'll provide the documents. Actually, they've been drafted. The contract is done, I think, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and then the notice of award and the notice to proceed are standard form documents that will require the authorized signature. And the contractor is ready to go. Okay. All right. All right. So,
We'll get you that contract this week.
all right. And this is a project that, we're going to, obviously there's gonna be a lot of communication. We have to be, everybody's gonna be notified, continuously through the project,
Mhm.
and that will be the intent. And not only because you happen to have my cell phone number, but I will stay in communication, obviously through Jay, and if you, at any time you want, if you want me to come and give you a face-to-face update, I'm glad to do it.
Some of the people in the community, whether it's some, members of the town council or the, people that living at Rockland Oaks, they don't understand what's happening.
Well,
and-
yeah, it can be, again,
And I
to
keep
me,
trying
it's
to say, "No, it's definitely happening. It's
Right.
moving forward.
For me, it's a routine process because I've been down the road so many
Yeah.
times.
To
But
them, it's so important.
remember, we've got a lot of moving parts here. We have the school committee and the school administration. We have the housing authority folks and the folks at Rockland Oaks. We have the town, council and town administration.
Mhm.
So we've got, this is a little unusual in that we've got this many different, entities to deal with.
Yeah.
Just for a comparison, we've done projects, similar projects, say at Pontiac High School or at Charahoe schools.
But the
I'm working
collaboration.
with the school committee, and that's pretty
but
much
the
it.
collaboration Is, it's.
Yeah,
it
I'm not
feels like
working with
you're
three
in
different entities, so to speak. So again, it takes a little more coordination and communication. That's my job.
I
Okay.
think your memo was really informative. Thank you for that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
information in there, really spelled it out.
Yeah, it really did. It was.
Well,
really
but
good.
that was the intent. Okay. So again, you can communicate with me directly. You can communicate through Jay, whatever you see fit. I will be more than happy to provide periodic updates in personally to everybody here and, just like, whatever you need,
Well, I
we'll be
really
glad to do.
appreciate you coming in and yeah, and just really clarifying the timeline and, but more importantly, the shared pieces of the system and how we're going to
Yeah.
benefit from like, like you said, the generator and other pieces of it. So,
Oh, absolutely.
and
So,
I really
yeah.
like the way that you laid that out. It was very strategic of you.
Hey. Well,
Really prudent.
Yeah.
we, sorting out the electrical in this school has been interesting,
Yeah.
but so it's gonna be some nice
I'm
improvements to
sure
that
you'll
also.
find other nuggets and treasures as you
Oh,
go along.
Yeah, well, we have, as a matter of fact, we found a length of pipe in the school that
It was made of
no one,
14
it's been
karat
there for a
gold.
while, but no one knew what it was for, so to speak, and now you're using it, by the way. It's
Okay.
it's
Well, that's
it's
good.
functional. It
Well,
was installed and then not used.
anything you can do to save money, we appreciate it.
So
So,
in any event,
okay.
all right, very good.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
You and Jay, I know that at the last meeting you went down all of the projects that are coming up this summer. I don't know if you want to just speak to those really quickly and
Hi, everyone.
You've got a busy summer ahead of you.
We do. And we got good news this afternoon for the auditorium roof. We have the bid price in and Kyle has approved that. So we're going to proceed. That work is scheduled and will get done.
Okay, fantastic.
The controls work that was originally has now been completed. The ERV wheels have been completed. Radiator covers are coming in by the end. Once the kids are gone, we're going to start putting those in. And I spoke with Kyle this afternoon about the North Scituate and high school fire alarm plans. They've been going back and forth with RIDE and
Yeah.
it seems like they have come to agreement. So
Oh,
we're going to be able to go
fantastic.
out to bid for that as well.
How about the stairs
She's
outside?
never happy. I had to give it to you. I'm sorry.
Colleen, thank you. Thank you.
I was awake thinking of these things that night.
And
Um,
actually, as far as the stairs go, we did find an engineer. That is news that actually just happened. The beauty part, if you don't know, we created this document that has all the projects in it. Myself, Kyle, Stephanie.
Can we get a weekly update? Thank you,
We-
Steph.
You can be in there and Kyle will be updating it saying, hey, I just heard from this person. So it's a breathing document that keeps us right on our toes with the information. So
I just, again, I really want the committee to know that there's so much going to be happening.
there
this
is so much
summer,
going on.
So,
So I'll be back up in a little bit to talk about security stuff.
okay, thank you. Okay. Any questions? All right. So the next thing on the agenda is just getting an update on our summer programs. I know Ozzy, you're becoming a superstar here, but I wanted to stay on top of this because
Don't swell her head anymore.
I'm not.
You're not gonna be able to-
I just, hi, Ozzy.
Hi.
But it's our opportunity to close gaps. and
Absolutely.
I just wanted to, and thank you for that information that you sent along. So I don't know whether or not you want to.
Ozzy's done some great work working with the building level administrators and the teachers and teams at the building level to really look at the work that we did last summer, what worked, what we needed to change so that we could create some programs this summer that were a little more targeted and focused. So I'd like to thank her and the teams at the building for all the work that they've done around this summer programming.
And Ozzy, would you also, when you go through your presentation, just talk to us a little bit about what the plan is to really to recruit those kids and help get them to present in these programs, so.
Our hope. Hi, everyone, by the way. You get my best version before 7:30 p.m. This is my bedtime. So if I'm starting to yawn, that's the reason. Next slide, please. So we have 3 different levels of summer programming. So I'm going to talk about the whole thing first. So that we have a summer study packet
for all of our students. We used to do this before, but from what I hear, like a summer reading, we looked at what the prerequisites for each incoming grade level should be. We asked the teachers to give us what they wish their students would come into the classroom with. So we worked with the elementary school principals that every student is going to get a take-home package with a little kit that the teachers wanted the kids to know about manipulatives, how can you use the number lines. That's for the elementary. For middle and high school, they are going to do the summer reading. In addition to that, we're going to have a 6-hour requirements of math work. So that's also new. All of our department heads, both at the middle and high school, math and ELA, have really worked hard to actually get the information from the grade levels so that we're being intentional and not just giving work to work. But just so that students, if they complete that, can experience some success, and we don't have to take the first month of our school year to do pre-teaching. So I'd like to thank all of them for their work. For the high school, we are going to have a virtual session, office hour, so where the students can drop in and ask questions if they're stuck on a portion of their work that is assigned for everybody. From what we saw last year, in person was not that great. So that was one way that we wanted to kind of alleviate some of the travel time and yet be available if the students needed help. Sure.
Even department heads, department nights, right? That's been traditionally offered to students. Some of them just don't come.
Right.
So to have a drop in, I want to drop in with them, not them dropping in with us. I think we need to be more persistent about especially those with the largest gaps. And so what is the plan to drop in on them versus us waiting for somebody to show up?
So if you are talking about the high school, I don't have a specific plan for the office. So
can we
So
talk
I'm gonna
to
just-
Mike about that? Because
Of
it's
course.
more like it's like a coaching role. And if we could hire someone, if the teachers would like a little part-time job during this period, we could hire them as the coaching for these students with a regular scheduled check-in. And I know the kids want the summer off, they're working, but they're behind.
So our plan is for the students that don't complete it for the first month and a half of school, they're going to owe us those hours when we are going to have more one-on-one. And this is
Okay,
going to be
so
an
you're
after.
monitoring so there's benchmarks on how much work has to be done when?
Absolutely. Yes.
So there's accountability behind it.
100%. And that's
That's
going to
great.
show us a part of the success evaluation of the summer program for all is to see the completion rates. And if we actually stick to our plan of if they don't finish it, they are going to owe us those times and hours because we were really intentional about the content. I'm going to report on that in the fall.
Okay.
Yes.
So just clarifying, so I get it, the top group, everybody, that's what's going to be the summer work, so to say, for everybody. So then the K through 8 and then broken down in person for K through 8 and then the virtual off, however that works out. Who are so that's the piece, like who are the targeted? Are they being identified prior to the end of the school year?
Yes, so that is the next part that I was going to talk about, which is the summer learning camp. The first thing we did is make it sound a little bit less academic based, because again, engagement and attendance is what we are looking for. So I'm very happy that Wendy Souza actually offered us a 4-hour a day of social emotional learning coach for our students. So we will start the coach at the elementary school, at the middle and middle school. And then she's going to go to the elementary schools. She's going to work with our teachers to do some engaging activities, a lot of collaboration, a lot of incentives, rewards. They're going to also provide with snacks for the kids. So again, we want to make it fun and engaging, and definitely we want the students to experience success. So the next year they went to a camp that they had fun with. So that's another one of the things that we did a little bit differently this year. Specifically at the middle school, we had very low attendance last year because it was a credit recovery. So what we did for identifying the second tier, the summer learning camp, at the elementary school, every data meeting that happens looks at a lot of indicators. One is math on Ames Web and or STAR, the independent reading levels from the ARC program, also the STAR reading. We also looked at grades 3 to 5 RICAS scores. So we did look at a lot of different data points to make sure that we are equitable in our identification and also able to service that are most struggling learners. But again, this is not an intervention program. It's something that they can experience success in. We're going to start with a pre-assessment, have a post-assessment, and then we're going to be measuring what the students learned. For the middle school, we did the same idea, plus we looked at the year-to-date scores. So if the student, for example, was in need of a tier 3 intervention in math, but right now they had an 82, they didn't qualify. So we looked at 3 days, a minimum of 3 data points to identify the numbers that are upcoming in a few slides.
Okay.
And then for summer school, we have the summer school credit recovery as it was before. However, it's on Edgenuity. Edgenuity is a platform that is kind of difficult without direct instruction. So this year we have added in-person teachers of mathematics and ELA for grades 9, 10, and 11. And we have filled the 14 positions we posted. And I did put that in my next slide. Sorry, I talked way too long on the first one. I promise this is.
We have questions. That's not your fault.
So the summer learning camp, I talked about this. We're really going to be talking and working with learner quality, study habits, self-advocacy, self-awareness. How do I get motivated to engage in learning? And then the 2 areas of math and reading and or ELA in the middle school.
Can you talk a little bit, or just what does the camp schedule look like? Like, what does it look like with the kids? If they are they going to get picked up, or are there busing that's going to drop them to the school? How long are they going to be there? Is it how many weeks? I mean,
Sure. So if you go to the next slide, please. I have the elementary and middle school flyers linked on this little, I think it's the 4th one from the left. I don't know if they open, but does it open? If you right click, no? Oh, yeah, I saw it. There's a little line hand.
Oh, yep, yeah.
So, but I can tell you that we are running the middle and elementary schools from July 11th to August 3rd. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. As of right now, we did not plan for transportation. Our idea was that if we hold it at Hope, a lot of those students that would be going to the camp, they can go there. And also if we have enough people that register, or students that register from middle school, Dana is talking to the camp to see if we can transport the kids that are already registered for the Hope camp to be transported there. So it's a little bit easier on the parents. As of right now, no transportation.
okay, and it's a 2-week program.
It's a 4-week, it's 12 days.
It's 12 days.
It's 12 days for the middle and elementary. For the high school, it's longer because it runs 5 days, but 3 days of in-person teaching. It starts from 8 to 12 for middle and high school, 8:30 to 11:30 for the elementary school, with a half hour in between of social emotional. So it's an hour and a half. It's a lot, so we have to break it up down a little bit and make it fun. So I just want to say for middle school, if a student is identified for just math, they go for 2 hours. If they're identified for ELA, they go for the 2nd hour. And then if they're identified for both, they have the opportunity to attend for both.
Research to that kind of points to what kind of outcomes you'll see for this 2-week, 12 days of, it seems awful.
Sure. That 100%. And that's why we really try to not promise ourselves that a measure of success would be increasing a grade level in reading or in math.
Okay.
What we're gonna do is make sure that they have the prerequisites. If they attend, they're gonna be successful in their upcoming math class, ELA class, or grade level.
So I think
Our hope is.
And you've seen that happen before in other places, or or is that just because you can design it, but if there's no proof that it works?
So based on the information that the work that we have done historically, if the kids are online, independent working, that doesn't work. So we're trying everything we can with the funds that we have right now in ESSER 3 I know last year there was some successes, and then middle and high school, we will need it to work. So we've tried to actually learn from the other districts that have done, because now that everybody has money, this has been the one big thing that everybody has spent a lot of time on. So my hope is that I can come back here and say, this is really worth it. Our kids are really successful. And if it's not, we're going to have that honest conversation, because the next year it's going to be fiscally
Yeah.
on
so-
us.
And I think part of it too, Carolyn, I can tell like through your questioning, like you're like, it's not enough. Like, I'm just thinking what, I don't mean it.
of the child,
No, I know. I
mean,
I get it.
vacation.
Well, that's, and I think that's striking that balance, that I'm looking at that, like, okay, so they have a little bit of time till they start, and then there's still some time after. It's a few hours during the middle of the week.
That's what we tried to have, the long
And I don't mean
weekends.
to be a
Yeah.
pessimist in saying it, but something is better than nothing. So if we make it so stringent that parents aren't bringing kids in or doing whatever, then it's nothing, right? So I get it. I know you want to get as much in as you possibly can, but I don't think we were successful when we're reaching for the, I think we have a public comment over here too.
Yeah, so I wanted to add to the research part. I'm participating in the summer camp.
Can you come-
I just have to say, I am very, very sad she's leaving. I just met her. She's not going anywhere. I have plans for professional development and coaching. I emailed her as we spoke here, sat down here, and she's writing our content for elementary school reading. So
So,
yeah.
the Rand Corporation and Annenberg Institute, Brown University studied summer learning camps. And actually 3 or 4 different research products have come out since COVID about the kinds of ESSER fund that's been used. And a couple of things were studied. Attendance. So for example, if we have Johnny who attends 80% of the school year, but he comes to a summer learning camp and attends 90% of the camp, then one thing we've done is influenced his ability to lessen the summer learning gap or the slide that happens, right? So that's one very positive thing. When we look at our Ames or STAR scores at our June exiting, we've all been doing in all of the schools, we've been looking at the data collection around specific item things that need to be addressed. So as I'm developing the ELA content for the summer program, I'm taking the data that we've gathered and looking at the skills and strategies that students are showing weakness in, and then offering content for them that's digital based, fun. For example, the first week of camp is called Digging In, and the kids are going to be planting plants and reading text on planting, creating literacy projects around planting. Getting kids to come is one piece. The other part is that we're thinking about, left to themselves, to their own devices, we know that kids will have a learning slide that's significant. These children already have a significant gap or have areas of gap that we've been trying to address. So the research around it says that if you make it creative, fun, so that the kids actually want to come, then you're giving them access to things where they can change their perception. So one of the things that we're doing is that we're identifying their particular interest and what their attitudes are toward learning, and what are the things that are different, so that we can focus on things that are different. It's not, as Ozzy said, going to be an intervention program where we're stepping in and intervening. So my part of it is the ELA piece, and that's the piece I'm working on. So we are using data to inform what the kids are doing. And the research around summer programs in large said, make it fun, the kids will come, increase their attendance rates, and you're giving them the opportunity to reduce the gap that exists in summer slide.
And Cindy talked about the Annenberg Institute. Ozzy and I went to a full day workshop where we looked at just that with them.
Absolutely.
What programs have been successful, what summer interventions have been successful. So we did that a few months ago in preparation for Ozzy working with the teams at the
Absolutely.
building. So
That's the direction that Ozzy and Caitlin gave me in developing it, is they didn't want it to be something that kids don't want to come to, because if they're not going to show up, then that's going to be a bigger issue for it. So it had to be something that would draw the kids into participating in learning and engaging experiences.
Thank you.
thank you. Next slide, please. A long time ago when I ran a session with all of the elementary school teachers, one of the questions was to say, I wish my student came in to my classroom in math, ELA, and science. I took away the science for this, and a lot of it potentially doesn't have a lot of content in it, but really even the familiarity with Eureka, it's something simple. We can kind of ease the kid's mind. And we've made a lot of adjustments to our scope and sequence to actually meet these needs. But I want to kind of show that we have collected data from the teachers. We did the same thing in elementary, and we are doing the same thing in grades 9 and 10.
I promise you, I'm not going to ask a lot of questions because it's getting late, but the packet that's going home,
That's for
that's
everyone.
not new. Has it gone home every year?
It is new.
It's
Awesome.
Offered at certain schools to certain students.
But now everybody's getting, great. And when packets are prepared, are they prepared based on the data that you're reading? Are they differentiated by student or is it just
it's
pretty
one
much?
for us.
But
Yeah,
it's like
it-
all the prerequisite stuff that they
Yes,
need to know.
yes.
Thank
But
you.
then again, there's those in that, so that, well, it's the same, you would have the virtual office hours and then the K through 8 in-person supports if children needed help to complete those packets.
So as of right now, the only in-person, the drop-in virtual hours is for high school students
Yep.
only. The summer camp is available to our more struggling students of tier 2 and 3. But if we have space, I don't see why not. I love that idea of they can drop in to get help, but we had not really
Okay,
thought about
okay.
that right now. Just the last slide is a number that we worked really hard to get for you on Friday. They are, thank you to everybody at because on Thursday we found out, on Friday the whole village helped. And I can assure you that I did not make these up. They're all based on the 4 or 5 data points. It goes through the entire population, K through
Wow.
8.
Awesome.
And I obviously it has identifiers in there. Otherwise, I would show you how much work the
How-
teachers have helped
How
do.
many, and I know you don't know this, but do you think you can get them?
For elementary,
Those being invited.
Mhm.
How many do you think? You'll get 50% of them?
my
I
hope
think at the elementary you'll get more, but what about the middle school? If you could just talk about the secondary and elementary.
we have the flyers looking really pretty. And we are going to say save the date and we're going to have awesome things. My hope is for 100, but again, 100%. But again, this is anybody. We started with anyone below the 40th percentile. Historically, anyone below a 25th percentile would be on intervention. So we're trying to reach as many and hope for the best for attendance. If this number is 100%, I would have to add positions to the middle school.
And I think, to be honest, and I'm even being optimistic, I think, and the adjective, please disagree, that to get 100% participation, no matter what you did, like, and no fault through anybody, but to get 100% participation, I think would be highly unlikely.
I know, I'm
Especially
just
at the upper
because
camp.
I'm publicly speaking, my
Yeah.
families that are listening go, well, listen, please send your children. It will be fun.
What are you doing for the engagement? What do
Why they
you,
love it.
are you talking to, especially in the secondary levels, how are you reaching out to students and parents?
So
Are you
we
giving them the scores? Are you giving them their gaps? Are you giving them why they need to?
absolutely. So we are going to be sending personalized letters, and the counselors and the department head is going to be meeting with a lot of the tier 3 students that our hope is that if they attend this next year, they will have enrichment rather than intervention. I would love to come one more time and talk to you about our new schedule proposal, which makes more sense if I let you know what is happening.
No, that would be great. Maybe
Yeah.
especially before school starts, maybe for
Absolutely.
the August meeting or something like.
Oh, I have so much to share.
Okay.
Great things happening, really. And I honestly, this job, you guys have an amazing crew of teachers and administrators.
Yeah,
So
that's what I.
just quick, so speak both briefly to the two pieces. So obviously our elementary students and our middle school. I'm thinking about getting the kids involved.
About this one.
Oh, did you have more to go? Go.
Oh,
Finish.
sorry. No,
Yeah,
no.
no. Go ahead. Finish
you
that. and then-
first.
No, you
Please.
first. No, you first. So no, so just tell me the process of, so obviously it's an elementary school teacher. Obviously the classroom teacher has such an important part in that invitation to the child, to the parents. They've had a whole entire year to establish that rapport. So I'm assuming it's coming from the classroom teacher. And then what happens on the other end at the middle school? Does it come from the team? Does it come from, are you affiliated with that? I'm just trying to get the process of how this goes out to parents.
So we are going to be, the principals are going to be really
Okay.
more involved in the actual invitation side portion at the elementary school. Middle school, we are very fortunate to have a department head for both math and ELA and also an interventionist that are making the letters I want the letters to be very personalized.
Teachers, as much as and there are a ton of parents that love Caitlin, that, do you know what I mean? But there are probably some other parents that don't.
Most of these parents probably already know it's coming because that MTSS conversation, we've already.
Okay.
kind of
put that out
alluded,
there.
yes.
Yes.
But, keep this on your radar plan. for
Okay,
that kind of
yep.
thing. So a lot of them already kind of know.
It's
so
the middle
hoping
school.
we attend.
The middle
Yeah.
school.
Middle school will have a really good plan, I promise.
Okay.
Because again, it's not only a letter that goes home. We should just make a phone call, and the guidance office has a promise that they will help with
Well, and that's it. I
reach
think it's
out.
individually reaching out. So it's one
Yes.
thing sending something in a mail. That's a great
I know.
point. And again, I think a lot of your elementary parents are going to be all over it. Backpack at home, boom, and they're going to be calling the next day.
Yeah.
But the middle school, it's like letting parents understand again, we can't.
The benefits of it all
Yeah.
and the,
Especially when they're counting the days until it's the last day of school. So it's kind of like, it's tough.
I know.
not
Yeah,
nice.
I don't want to, please.
and I talked about this briefly, and this is again, I know, Carolyn, you are very, I guess you had asked me about the success. This time I'm going to be here from the beginning and end of it. So we are doing a pre-assessment, a progress monitoring, a post-assessment.
Because we learned from what.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to say that there is a
Make it
plan in
better.
place, and we will present about what happens after this and hopefully make a decision collectively.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
This is maybe a little aside, but can we use funds to do fun things while they're there?
Yes.
Do you get an ice cream truck? Like, I'm just trying to think, like, is there ways to make
So
it?
thanks to Wendy, because she's providing all of those snacks from the wellness. We can spend money on.
Okay, I'm just
those.
trying to.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
Not from
thing,
ESSER
like a
3.
pizza party at the end,
Yeah,
or,
as
you know what
much- as
anytime you
much-
can feed them more.
Incentivize, yeah.
I love the, and again, it's different, the recovery at the high school, I get that, but it's camp, like, who doesn't go to
100%.
summer camp? So.
And I'm
Maybe
not
we
gonna
have a water balloon fight, I don't, you know what I mean?
100%. I've done a lot of STEM camps over the summer. We do the egg drops, and this is
Yeah.
again a lot of design process in there. I'm not going to promise anything, but I do have a connection at URI that might bring us some supplies, aka my husband.
It would be nice if Trotwell's would step up once in a while and
We can
just-
talk about them next.
well, can they donate? Can they ever give anything free to these types of programs to help support the kids that need it the most? But we'll be talking to him about that in a little bit. So, but thank you. That was fantastic. And I think it's important if we want to move the schools and help them and.
Ozzy, I think the only untruthful thing that you stated was, it's 8:39 and you still had a whole lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that.
I love kids and I love my job.
You can see it.
Thank you, Ozzy, so much for everything you're doing.
Carolyn, I was wondering if it wouldn't help, Caitlin, if we moved the next item out of order.
That's okay. No worries, I'm here. Thank you. though. I'll wait my turn. No, go.
Just
I
go
want to
fast,
follow
Mary.
after you.
Hurry up. We support pregnant women. in the back.
I will let her go.
Okay, so let me just say that we're moving into new business, which means the end of the meeting. And
getting there,
so-
guys.
We're getting there. There's only 3 items under new business. And the first one is to review, discussion action vote for the review of building projects under the ride safety funding.
So before Jay starts, I just want to, because I think I'm part of the reason that this is on the agenda, and I wanted to say why. This is not about us wanting to know all the safety projects going on at the school. Just to put some history to it, there was a parent at a meeting a few months ago that stated that we had missed an opportunity. She was asking about $500,000 worth in funding that every district was eligible for, and at the time we said to her, well, we're not aware of what that is. And then there was a news article that came, but we said we'd look into it. Then there was a news article that came out, I think at the end of May, talking about how certain districts were able to get, $300,000-$400,000 in reimbursement through the state. So that's kind of why I had reached out to Lori and I know there were a lot of emails back and forth. So if you guys want to jump on that, I think I want to let you speak and then just.
So we were aware of the newspaper articles. We had reached out to RIDE a number of times. RIDE was a little confused about our questions and the money. They knew that there was conversation about this, facilities money. When we worked with Kyle and, through phone calls with RIDE, what we were originally told is it really is just housing aid money, right? And so as part of our facilities, plan, our 5-year plan, we had projects in there and we were trying to bundle those. The building committee was bundling those safety projects with other projects to maximize,
Strategically.
yes, to maximize the return, from 35% up to. When that, mom brought the subject up again, we called RIDE again and said, look, this is still being raised in our community. We want to be sure that we have the correct information. And they said, yes, you can put forward all of your safety items, and get the 35% housing aid reimbursement. So I said, okay, let me bring this back to building committee, see what their appetite is, how they want to go forward with this. And at the last building committee meeting, the building committee determined we would package up the safety items that were already on our plan. And they needed to be on the plan for RIDE approval. And we would start them now and put them in as separate items under this $500,000 that the governor had been and the commissioner had been speaking about. So that's what
Okay.
we're going to do. Jay's gonna review for this committee, the kinds of projects, safety projects that we're gonna be moving forward with.
But you've seen these you've already seen a lot of these.
Yes. But I just think it's very important
We've
that
been working.
yeah, and I think it's more edification for everyone else that I get that we're doing everything possible to regroup as much reimbursement as absolutely possible. And again, these news articles and the way things were put were very confusing. It looks like only 3 or 4 districts are recuperating.
And it was
any-
it was confusing for the people at RIDE too, quite honestly, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah,
unusual.
yeah.
But you bring up a good point, Colleen. I think it became apparent to us that we don't do a particularly good job of telling the community and the taxpayers all of the grants and funds that we are bringing into the district to support a lot of the work. So I've asked Stephanie, I know she's got the audit and everything, but I have asked Stephanie for the next school committee meeting to put together a presentation for the committee of all the grants that we have in the district currently, what the grant amounts are for, and what work is being completed based on those grant funds.
The title work.
Everything. We have some kitchen grants, we have the well grant, we have, what was the last number, like 17?
I'm managing 20, so.
So there you go.
So, but I think that's a great point, and I think that's a great, I'm sorry to bring you up here, then we just keep going on our own. But I think that's a tremendous thing to have on, and it'll be
ongoing.
So it'll be a lot to bring it together at first, but then when we go back to the town council, when we go to the taxpayers, when we go, this is what we've, so I think that's fabulous.
Run them down.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
So the beauty, no. The
Poor
beauty,
Caitlin's like, I thought you said.
I know. It's okay. I'm just gonna get comfortable up here and, all right. The beauty part of what I'm about to tell you is one of the projects that the building committee had already moved forward in was a new phone system across the district for for everything, for regular communications, for emergencies. So we had created this partnership with a company called ATG. And when I met with them, I said, hey, if you see anything else that you are worried about while you're out in our schools, let me know. They're on the state MPA. They have done a ton of work with other districts, and they have helped other districts with this 500,000. So in addition to the phone system, they are going to upgrade our access control. So all the things that read the badges, we're going to add additional ones. I don't know if you've been to any of our elementary schools, but when the kids are out for recess, the doors are propped open so that the kids can come back in. We're going to add readers to those recess doors. So all those doors are going to be closed and secured with access control. We are adding high def video cameras with recording at the entrances of all our buildings. We have cameras there, but they don't record. They're not high def. I'm sure you've seen them. And I think the biggest benefit that we're doing is security cameras, new security cameras, high def in all the elementaries. Yeah, additional at inside and outside all of our elementary schools. That's a very big security pickup.
How are the cameras here?
They are not that old here, so
But are they up at one point? I say she's never happy. Here I am saying, what about that? At one point, and this was some time ago, they were horrible.
we upgraded those while I've been here.
Okay, okay. And okay, visible, you can see what's happening. You
And the other two big projects, we're going to finish the window film project that you guys have already started. Any film that hasn't been on is going to be completed. And then we're adding entrance vestibules to both Hope and North Scituate, so that there'll be an extra layer of people where they have to get stopped before they can get into our buildings. So again, sometimes when I go to building committee meetings, it's like Christmas for me. I get all these things, but my summer is getting very busy. So, but that's it. Okay, Kate.
When are the things going on the windows?
That's good. As soon as
The next new business is a discussion action vote on elementary SEL curriculum moving to second step from Choose Love. Come on up.
There is a presentation. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about why we're making the change from Choose Love to Second Step. I don't know if you want me to go through some of this. I don't know if you had time to take a look at it. We've done Choose Love now for, I think, a full year, maybe a little bit more. I can speak on behalf of the elementary schools that we are planning to move K-8 to Second Step for next year. I can't speak to exactly how that's going to roll out to middle school. I'm sure Ozzy will once their schedule is all worked out. But if you go to the next slide, it really shows you the difference between Choose Love and Second Step based on, and I'll get to it, based on the SABRE screening that I think I talked to you about at the beginning of the year. Our needs were not being met with Choose Love. So if you look at Second Step, growth mindset, emotional management, empathy, kindness, and problem solving, a lot different than courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion. It just wasn't meeting our needs. So we looked at incredible years in Second Step. Second Step, I guess, was used here back in the 90s. Some of the teachers have told me. So they reached out saying, you know, kind of, we need something different and, you know, to fit our needs, as well as the social worker, school psychologist that we have. So there's a little bit about it. There's 20 lessons. They're about 15 to 30 minutes. The goal is to do it once a week. That was the goal with Choose Love, but it's not happening consistently throughout the elementary schools. If you can go to the next slide. That's just a little bit of, I'm not going to read all this to you, but the differences between the two. Second Step did have a meta-analysis done back in 2017. They looked at over 200 schools. There was an 11% increase tied to the program in overall academic achievement at those schools.
So we are abandoning Choose Love.
We are abandoning Choose Love. Jumping ship.
I actually thought Second Step was the second step of Choose Love. So
Oh yeah, nope, that's the name of the program.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this was a little bit about the SABRE screening. Again, I presented this back in the fall. It was a screener given to all elementary students. It's been given 3 times this year. So I'll go on to show you that, but it looks at the social behavior, academic behavior, emotional behavior. And if you think about those 3 categories and what I just shared on a couple slides before that about the 4 units that's covered in Second Step, it better aligns and supports our needs there. So,
And to just add to that, when Mary was here, our friend Mary on the committee, she asked repeatedly how we would know if Choose Love was working. And that's why we decided to get the SABRE screening so that we would have a mechanism to really examine and be able to answer Mary's questions around how do we know if this is working.
So if you go to the next slide, the next 3 slides are going to break it down by grade level district-wide. You can see that hot pink is high risk, the light pink is some risk, and the purplish is low risk. So overall, we did decrease, by 4% our overall at-risk level. But then it's very interesting to look at it by grade level. Obviously, there was a huge positivity and impact for kindergarten. We see a lot of growth with kindergartners. They really need to get into school and learn school. If you can go to the next one. Again, you can see, you know, again, first grade, there's a lot of growth there overall, positive 16%. But then once we hit grades 2, 3, and we'll keep going on, you can see that the impact is, you know, greater. And if you look, that was preschool year, COVID was preschool year for that second grade group. Here's where you see, you know, a great amount of need, especially in the third and the fourth grade. So if you look at that fourth grade cohort, we actually increased our risk level from the beginning of the year. So for fourth graders, they went distance learning in grade 1. In grade 2, we came back, some of us, mask, spacing, distance learning, quarantine, absences. Third grade, again, we were masked until March of last year, still quarantining protocols, high absenteeism due to that. So this has been their first normal school year. And you see the impact and, you know, how students are struggling with certain skills, growth mindset, you know, emotional regulation. So I just wanted you to see overall what we're able to gather from that. We can break it down at a classroom level, grade level by school. And that's what we're using in our data meetings to look at. But this is just a district overview. Can you go to the next slide? So funding, that's always the big question. We worked with Wendy for the mental health grant. They were able to pay for a 3-year license for K-8 for us. The cost per building, once that's up, is between $2,000 and $3,000 right now, which if we like the program and we see it's effective, we'll, you know, use local funds at that time to support that work. Again, data will be collected using the SABRE screener, teacher feedback, and curriculum assessments to determine the effectiveness in Scituate schools. And the next one. And professional development. So this afternoon, all elementary teachers in the district received a PD. We had some technical challenges, but we got through it. They were able to log into their accounts, kind of dabble with it. See the setup. Everything is digital for them. There'll be ongoing professional development that's available. And our school psychologists, social workers, and administrators are really going to be supporting this implementation. All of our school psychologists and social workers were there today as well, getting the training, and they have administrator access. And everything like that. So feedback at all 3 elementary schools, as I did talk to Becca Miranda, were positive. They felt like it was, you know, they had all the materials that they needed. It's reasonable, you know, to do a lesson a week. There's brain building activities with this Mind Yeti that they can do daily as well and incorporate that into the morning meeting. I think it'll provide common language for us as well, you know, in our school-wide meetings, and all of us do positive office referrals or something like that. So I think it'll provide some common language as well. I think that's it.
I have a few questions. So this was more teacher driven. This change was more faculty driven, like saying this is not working.
I would say so. Yep. And it wasn't being used consistently either. So then you ask the question, like, why are we, you know, struggling? And SEL has just always been a concern. And once we got the SABRE's results and knew what it was looking at, Choose Love just didn't really align with what we needed, what our teachers needed and what our students needed.
So you said 2 other things that caught my attention. Well, one was that teachers weren't consistently. So with Choose Love, there was also a curriculum where they were to teach something once a week.
Correct.
And it wasn't being done consistently, but this is also asking for teachers to teach something once a week. How do we know they're going to teach it consistently? Because they are or have more buy-in to this, or they know
I think
that
there's definitely more buy-in
Okay.
to this, and they see the alignment with the SABRE's results.
I see.
So I think they feel supported, and like, you know, my student's struggling with this, but we're focusing on courage right now. That's not helping Johnny take some deep breaths as he's frustrated because he can't, you know, solve the problem, that kind of thing. So I think there is more buy-in now. And I think we found a lot of value in doing the SABRE screening this year, and what results came of it and who was struggling. And then, you know, if those students made progress throughout the year, you know, or not. There's an extension piece to the second step as well, that our school social workers and school psychologists can use at, you know, the tier 2 level and supporting in the classroom, or that the teachers can do as well if they find their classroom is stuck at a certain concept or area.
The other thing that caught my attention, thank you for that. And you can see it in the numbers, like fourth grade was chronic absenteeism. And does that still go on today?
Does it still go on today? I think what we have seen this year is not so much COVID related. It's more illness related, where kids are staying ill for longer periods of time. Pre-COVID, like you'd be back to school in 24 to 48 hours. But now kids' colds, flus, things like that are lasting 5 full school days, and kids are out for a full week at a time. So while we don't have the COVID, regulations per se and all that, we're still seeing now with the sicknesses, and that was consistent at all 3 elementary schools. So there still is attendance, our attendance issues right now, but most of them are true illness related, but it's still missing seat time. When you've missed 20 days of seat time because you've had the flu twice this year and COVID, because you have you have an underlying symptom of asthma, how can you, we do our best to, give work, but nothing's going to replace that seat time.
Sure.
So.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
Erica actually mentioned some of the concerns, not concerns, but like issues that I would see with this. I mean, the implementation, assuring that it's actually being carried out. And to me, and it's not you, and it's not even the Choose Love, it feels like it's this thick. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's going to go down. I feel like it's on the surface. And I'm really worried about the middle school. I know that's not you, but the culture of the middle school, those kids, obviously they need some support. But I just feel like it's just it's too surfacey to me, but I trust that it will get there.
This will hopefully provide the foundation that, we've been looking for and needing. And then students will carry that, with them. But we have to, I think, be realistic too, as there's academic expectations too. So we have to find a balance.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, like teachers have been, that's why, and I know we're going to probably get a report out on the curriculum work that's been going on, but they've been really over the last, even before COVID, I mean, it's been a lot of curriculum updates and, and now there's a new curriculum here, but I get it. It's, you have to be real about it, but at least they have some kind of a tool available to them.
Yes. Yep. And I think consistency is important, and that falls on the administrators to ensure that it is being implemented in the more school-wide, commonality.
The teachers are buying in.
They are
they're
really
up
buying
for it.
Yep. The feedback today was, really positive. And some of these classrooms are getting whole class interventions by a social worker or a school psychologist once a week. So that's an additional layer to those identified classrooms. And some of that data was given in the fall as well, at the percentage of classrooms that were getting that full intervention. So,
Caitlin,
right.
thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, the next issue and the last issue is the discussion action vote on the Chartwell's contract.
Yes.
Come on up.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Aaron Shoemaker. I'm the Director of Dining Services for Scituate at Chartwell's. I hope everybody got a chance to review the renewal document. You may notice originally the number that everybody's going to look at, that bottom line number, has changed quite a bit since the last time we presented it to you. A big portion of that was actually a little bit of some enrollment misunderstanding. I think the number that was originally presented, we then added an attendance factor to that, but that number that was provided already had that attendance factor added. So we were off by about 90 students. So that's a big jump, or a big reason why that deficit has moved in the correct direction, because we've now adjusted our projected meals. And then we also reduced some of our fees to get to the number that the committee has requested, a loss not to exceed $7,000. There are obviously a lot of things that have affected food service over the last couple of years, and the world. But some of the big things, we're returning to national school lunch reimbursement rates from the federal government.
What were
we-
your profits during that COVID and time? I mean, you guys did pretty good with universal everything across the entire country. The pockets just got deeper and deeper and deeper. And now you're coming to a small community and we have to give those deep pockets our $7,000. You can't make it work.
Well, so
Because
we
you guys really did well. All the companies, Sodexo, all of them, they did phenomenal.
so
All that federal money that came,
I think we
busing
did
the
well.
lunches to the kids.
I think we did well as a district though as well over the last couple of years.
So why
over
do
the
we have
last
to be penalized and you need to take a $7,000 pay from us?
So that $7,000 deficit is the cost of running the program, not necessarily what is coming to Chartwell's. Our fees, like I said, have been reduced to, to collaborate and come to a number that, I think we can both try to agree upon.
But I know there's school districts that are getting big gifts and payouts because of the windfalls and really trying to have those companies stay with those districts. They go out of their way. And I tell you, I'm not a fan of the 7,000. I think it should be zero. It's been zero since I got on this committee.
If I can explain a couple of the things that have increased significantly over the last 2 years. Food cost nationwide is up about 7.5%, according to the USDA,
And your reimbursements are higher because of it.
but now they're dropping this year by about 37 cents a meal.
Because
So
the
that's about a
food-
$17,000 total loss in revenue for this next school year, based on current year's numbers and participation. So
I'm
the
sure
same
that
number
you
of-
guys use the highest point of food inflation to come up with your analysis, because that's what first student does. They go in, they look at diesel fuel. Oh, let's pick October when it was the most expensive, and then we'll give them a quote.
7.5% is the number that's from the USDA website for the 2023-2024 school year. As far as,
And they didn't come up with the reimbursement to support it.
so reimbursements have been up over the last few years due to COVID, but now we're going back to pre-COVID.
And I can't imagine that USDA did not post a 7.1% CPI inflation rate. Yet they're not going to cover that with their reimbursement. They're just going to say, go, let them eat cake. Come on,
As of right now, these are the reimbursement rates that have been approved by USDA and RIDE for us to use in our
Is there
renewals.
something in the contract that says if the reimbursement rates get increased by USDA, that the $7,000 will be wiped out?
So this current contract just bases that off of those numbers. And those are the numbers that we got from Jessica
And what
Petroleum.
happens if the numbers change and
So-
your reimbursement goes way up?
So that $7,000, it's actually a little bit less than that, but $7,000 for the ease of talking.
It's just if we go deficit.
That $7,000 is always a loss not to exceed. We will always try to do better than that, but it's a loss not to exceed. So it's not a budgeted, it is a budgeted deficit, but it's not a guaranteed deficit.
That we will have to pay you. We may not have to pay you that.
That's the cost of the program. The management fee is, a per meal management fee.
So the $7,000 I thought is is only paid if the program goes into deficit.
The $7,000 is what we're projecting as a deficit.
And what if it doesn't happen? You're still gonna take the 7?
No, it's a loss not to exceed. So if we break even, the district breaks even. If we make
Breaks
10,
even, and what does break even mean for you getting the $7,000? You don't get it?
the
Are you-
$7,000 doesn't come to us. That's a cost to the program.
I'm
We're-
getting confused because I think
I don't
hear
know
you
what he's
saying-
saying. I don't know.
I'm-
I don't
So-
Are we talking about lunch reimbursement for those students who don't pay for their lunch?
No, that's a whole
different.
nother problem,
No, that's
unfortunately.
different.
So the contract that we're looking to sign today, what I'm saying and I was reading, so it's a loss not to exceed. So if
Thank you.
this program, so you're confusing it when you're saying it's the cost of operations. So if the program were to run and it came out to zero, like everything balanced out, we're not paying you $7,000.
The district would not lose $7,000, but you would still pay our management fee monthly so the management fee right in the current contract is 3.9 cents per meal. So that's the money that you pay Chartwells to run the business, 3.9 cents per meal served. That meal
And
is
that's gonna mean
one
that you're
lunch,
gonna
two
need
breakfasts.
And that
Yeah.
means you're gonna need an additional $7,000 a year from the district for the administrative fee or the total program loss?
That's the total program loss, $7,000.
So and again,
You guys getting?
no, because I've and maybe we're trying to compare apples and oranges. So I've been at this table before. No, because what I've understood is that our goal is to always break even. So our lunch program does not cost anything.
So we don't have to pay you
We
7,000?
allow you to operate, or whomever, not just you, whatever contractor, to utilize our, hang on, I just like
I'm trying to get it.
the way that we've negotiated these before,
Yeah.
and I've seen you negotiate these before, is that the goal is it's zero. The school lunch program would not cost our district anything.
And typically when it is a break-even contract, you're still paying Chartwells to be here. It's just not costing you, you're paying us as part of, when you pay your bill every month, our management fee is included in there as a per meal cost.
You're throwing me on the management.
But isn't that what we're doing with this contract also? Just
Yeah,
paying that?
absolutely. It's just, the costs are more.
But you are anticipating that our costs are gonna be more than the revenue we take in.
Correct.
No more than $7,000.
Correct.
But if the revenue we take in is equal to the cost of the program every month, we don't owe you $7,000.
Right.
No, yeah.
Okay.
You don't owe us
But
$7,000
why are we
ever. I
paying
mean,
every
Then
month?
why do you keep them?
Well, we have to pay the cost to run the
the
program
employees.
every month.
But are we embedded in the monthly payment? Is the 7,000 embedded in the monthly payment, or is that something that's reconciled throughout, like quarterly, or
it's. we track-
embedded in the it's embedded in the monthly payment?
Right. I mean, we
So
track
we're gonna
it.
pay them the 7,000, and when do you give it back to us?
You're not paying, and maybe I'm,
Yeah,
I think
Stephanie,
you're
I
confusing
think-
them.
The superintendent explained it well.
well, that's how I always understood it.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
So-
maybe I'm,
I think you're
so
confusing
maybe
them,
this is just a
Aaron.
clarifying question. So we, as a small district, are 3.9 cents per meal. That's what the cost you're saying the administrative cost for the program is here. So if you were in District X that has, 7,000 students in it, are you charging them 3.9 cents per, is it the same, like the administrative cost throughout?
those fees are negotiated as part of the statewide contract. So
Everybody's paying
every-
3.9.
well, we've reduced those fees as part of this contract. So everyone else is actually paying a little bit more as part of this year's contract.
Regardless if you're in a district where you're actually making money from the school lunch program. I'm assuming there are districts that are much larger that have a higher
Free and reduced.
free and reduced lunch you're for-profit business, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not nothing to be ashamed of. It's what,
Yeah.
so there are districts where your company is making, there's no concerns about you losing any money, I would gather.
Correct. And it's part of we would lose money if we didn't meet our guarantee. So if this loss not to exceed $7,000, if we came to you at the end of the year and we said, we didn't make it, we are now at a negative $9,000, we would cover that additional $2,000.
So that's my,
And
so
again,
at the end of the year, is that when you get the 7?
Yeah,
I don't think.
no,
so.
but this administrative fee is
Yes.
separate and apart from
it's at the
that.
end of the year.
It's at the end of the year, there's a reconciliation and say, oh, look at,
We would look at the end of the
We
year, year to
only-
date.
We only have a deficit of 3,000, so you only have to pay us 3,000?
Yes. It's a loss not to exceed.
Make sure that's in the minutes.
Can we, will we be able to get, not we, the committee,
Oh, I
sorry.
hate giving
Will
this
the-
up.
Will the committee be able to get a monthly
Yeah.
report on where we stand, revenue to expenditures month to month?
So we provide a P&L to Stephanie every month
Yep, I can
that
give that to you.
shows
Perfect.
where we are that month, year to date on every GL that we operate under.
And how many times have we gone over? Have we not broken even?
This would be, we've always at least broken even as long as I've been here.
So then what do you need the 7 for?
So under current year, we have benefited from some SCA funds, supply chain assistance funds. So we're currently sitting at about a $27,000 profit to the district. And last year during COVID, I don't remember exactly what the number was, but it was around $100,000, I think.
Yes.
So, I mean, we have made the district money over the last couple of years. This is just the
And
cost.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And that money can be used towards that monthly bill we get.
So again, so COVID year is exceptional, right? Because I know there was a lot of different, and I don't know how far back prior to that. Have we, so if there's a profit,
We'll never get that 7 out.
if there's a profit, how do you say we get money back? I mean,
So there's different pots of money.
Yes.
This has been a fun learning experience for me
Sure.
with the pots here.
Yeah. not
and- yeah.
different than nugget.
And the money can only be used for certain instances, each pot. But the money he's referring to, we can use to actually pay the bill that we get monthly. So
Yeah, because the contract says you have to reimburse.
and then there's
right,
there's other pots of money like the grant money that they use to get better food, or we can use to
For equipment.
exactly. So it depends what
Okay.
bucket
So,
we're talking
so
about.
there's $27,000 in the pot that we can use to pay the bill.
I think
There's
there's
more
quite a
than
bit
that.
more than that.
Yeah, there's more than that. Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking way too simple. Let's say there's
You think you're
27.
gonna need this 7?
That's what I'm saying. If there's 27, and then you're projecting a $7,000 deficit, that's really 34. That's really 34.
So why do we need this in here? We got all the money to
I'm saying.
support
So-
your program. Here's my concern, and this is for the committee.
I didn't even.
The minute we put a dime in there, we're not gonna get the dime out.
Well, that's what I said.
I've never had broke even, break even, break even. Now it's not break even anymore. As of tonight, it's $7,000
It's a loss not to exceed. If we,
with a big
So-
fat nest egg. You're
so-
just sitting on it. You don't even need the 7.
that's sitting in Situate's account. That's not sitting in Chartwell's account.
Oh, you got enough in Chartwell's accounts.
Well-
trust me.
We're getting.
Every
Here we go.
friggin' college across the country, it's international. They need the 7 from Scituate School District. Listen, I've been negotiating with you guys for the last month, and this is pretty damn good from where it was initially, guys. It was up to, it was 15 originally.
Again, a lot of that was that enrollment issue.
Oh, and all of a sudden you was able to find it after I said, I don't want to cut it in half. I don't know.
We have
I
not a
feel
lot of
like
things.
I'm back up again. I feel like I got first students strangling us over here, and now I've got the food contract because you know what?
I mean, it's food cost is up higher than it's ever been. Labor cost, we've increased salaries about 9% this year just to get people to apply. January, it's going up another 8%. Next January, another 7%. And then our revenue is dropping by about $17,000 just for the reimbursement rates. So, it's not a great picture to paint, but unfortunately it is, the cost of doing business in this case.
And this is what, a 1-year contract?
Yes, it's a 1 year.
1 year.
I yield.
Let's go to vote.
So Carolyn, in the past, we've always had this at 0.
always, and they've always landed it here. They've always made a profit. But they're all coming. First student, no, this one is, I don't know. Here's our problem. If we don't vote on it, we have to go out to bid.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what we're gonna get from the other people.
We don't have enough time.
Stephanie, do you want?
It's, I took.
Oh,
a-
they can come out. Are you I've seen these guys come in and
I'm just
turn
telling
the
you what
friggin'
Ryder
school
told
district
us.
in 2 or 3 days.
I'm just telling you what. Ryder
Equipment
told us.
going this way and equipment coming in.
Go ahead, Steph.
RIDE did let us know that, you know, we're right on the cusp of being able to go out to bid. My recommendation, if you want it,
Please.
Definitely.
would be to sign the 1-year contract and then we go from there.
Get it in there, you'll never get it out. Do I have a motion to approve the Chartwell's contract? Didn't even get a motion for it.
Make a motion to approve. I make a motion to approve the Cutwell's contract.
Second.
Because that allows us to have a discussion before we vote.
Right, so let's have a discussion. Now, I think I've expressed my concerns. And I'm really torn, to be honest with you. What do you guys think? I think, Erica, you know, you're right, we've always had break even. Always.
And we've always made a profit, yet this is a
Yeah, and we have a
safety
pro-
net for them.
and there is a safety net already there underneath it. So why can't, if the safety net, if we really move into the surplus too much, then we have evidence that we need to do this. I think, yes, you're right, your costs are higher, and I hear you, especially on the labor, because it's very difficult to find people to come to work.
So I assume that the cost of the lunches have not gone up to
So that was originally,
compensate that.
that was something that we brought up to try and get this to a break even, was to increase the cost of lunches. They are much lower than a lot of the other districts in the state. We're actually collecting roughly $1 and change less for a paid lunch than we are for a free lunch. And the majority of the lunches here are paid, just based on the, district.
Sure.
So we're, the longer we go without a price increase.
Have we had, when's the last time there was a price increase for full paid lunch in Scituate? Do you know?
I've been here for 4 years and it hasn't happened since I've been here.
And who's responsible for that decision?
It would be as part of this decision to raise lunch prices as part of the contract renewal. That was expressed to us as something that we did not want to do.
Well, I don't want to put this on the back of the kids and the families when they've got plenty of money. We've got plenty of money in the surplus that we don't have to do anything right now. We can use the surplus to offset it. And then next year we can look at that data. And if you didn't break even, we can look at what happened and then put some kind of a stop loss. I don't understand why we're putting a stop loss in when we're sitting on a cushion. And I know you can't make the decision tonight to change this contract. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
No matter how much she yells, it doesn't.
I'm not yelling.
I know.
I'm-
69, 79, 94. That's the number that
And
I've
you know what? I'm not trying to kill the messenger here. You're very nice. I heard that you're really, really, really good to work with. Believe me, it's
appreciate
not
that. And I
you.
do apologize if I,
No, no.
didn't do a good job
You're
explaining.
doing-
No.
You're
I
doing
think-
a great
I
job.
think it's some of the hours. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock
Plural.
this morning.
So
Question in the back.
Seeing you're gonna special meeting Thursday, can you discuss it for Thursday? and
Yeah, because it's
It's not-
agenda?
no, it's not.
too
urgent.
late. It had to be done by 5 today.
Mm.
But good, I thought of that though. Okay, any more discussion on this?
I guess my only question is, so if there was a $7,000 loss, and just tell me if I know,
I don't think we have to give them anything because we have a surplus.
So if there is that surplus able to be utilized for that, if there was a foregoing deficit?
It is my understanding that it is from that
That's what I'm
pot.
saying. They don't need it.
So
was-
hypothetically, if we went through with this contract and we used some of the surplus to cover the loss, we would know if we're having a loss, and then we can decide to go out for bid next year.
Correct.
I'd like to suggest too, that not now, but I think I'm with you. I'm not looking to increase the lunch prices, but I think it would behoove us to look at what other districts are paying for full price lunches. And I'm not just saying now, we can't hold it off forever because at some point there's going to be a cliff, right? So I think that's something, and again, we don't want to have to raise lunch prices by, 50
Right.
cents or what, I'd rather
Increase a little bit.
incrementally 50, do you know what I mean? So I think that's something moving forward that so just kind of project to, and again, not to put in the backs, but
Nickel.
yeah, whatever, yes, but I'd rather do little bits
Yeah.
more often than,
Large
Big
chunks.
jump.
because at some point it's just not going to be.
Eventually RIDE will make you
Okay,
raise prices,
okay.
you know.
Can you provide us with what other districts pay? Like, is that, I don't need it tonight. I don't want it tonight, but is that,
I can only speak to Johnston, and they're $2.85 for an elementary and $3 for a high school versus $2.60 and $2.85.
Can you say that again?
It's our current prices
here?
are $2.60 at elementary and $2.85 for secondary, middle and high school. And Johnston's rates or cost is $2.85 for elementary, $3 for secondary.
15 cents.
15 cents, yeah.
We have a very different socioeconomic bracket than they do too, so, and this is
problem
only for
is-
full pay, but I don't want to go too far off, but.
Another big issue here is that they won't sign the contract with us if we don't put it in. This is a negotiation and they said that they would walk
What, for the
Right.
7?
until the 7th stopping. And here we are in June. I feel like our back's against the wall.
So it is, and I think,
But we have a plan and we have a cushion. And we all know the other issues that the district has in terms of just recouping, whether we don't have enough students. We have free and reduced lunch students that take advantage of that in elementary schools, but when they get up in the middle and high, that's always been a problem. We haven't been able to address that. And that would help with this.
So when you say, are you saying if we pass the contract with the 7,000 stop loss, it really won't impact us because
We've got the cushion.
before we pay the stop loss, the 7,000, we're gonna go through is that how that works?
That's what
We-
Stephanie.
It's on her
believes.
We
understanding.
use the surplus first before we take 7,000 out of our budget?
The surplus can be used to cover the deficit.
Stephanie,
That's
you
not
said
to
it-
exceed $7,000.
Correct.
That's
What,
correct.
what is the total amount in that of that?
I can get the total amount for you, but I believe it's over $100,000.
There you go.
I make we have a motion in a second.
Yeah, we're ready to vote.
What about, can I just throw something in about some special snacks for Miss Ozzy's summer programs too? I don't know. Carolyn, I don't know if you noticed, she subtly tried to throw, well, Chartwell's could throw us some
Why
snacks.
couldn't we use that money to provide the?
No, I'm not paying them any more money.
All right, easy.
I'm
Let's bring it to a
asking them
vote. Let's bring it.
Don't know.
If there's one thing that I can say that's maybe, something that we can all cross our fingers for, is there is a Rhode Island bill that has passed the Senate that would make free meals for all statewide. It's passed the
If that
Senate.
happens is, can we take the 7 out?
But it's always a loss not to exceed. So
Right, so if you're getting, if you were getting free, for every meal
we
that
were-
was coming through, if you were getting that max amount, there's no loss.
Right, there's no
Correct.
loss, there's actually,
it would
gain.
be,
Yeah.
it would be like a COVID year.
Carolyn will go lobby.
Because
Tell us when it's going through the house.
participation would increase. you know, the cost,
Just like COVID.
yeah,
Mm.
you'd be looking at another $100,000 a year.
So we're sitting on 100,000.
Here we go. All right.
I just I know you want me to let it go, but it's like, they're sitting on
Well, we are.
$100,000.
But
It's
yeah,
not
that's,
theirs. It's
that's the
ours.
different pot. So that's the different pot. Yeah.
We're sitting on $100,000 and they think we're gonna go to 107 deficit.
No, just let's, yeah.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you.
run.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, you know,
Caitlin, you get extra special credit. I was trying to give you one of these. I know, if you've been there this long. So I think I'm gonna make just one last thing. And it's not an official motion, but I'll say that if between now and when Caitlin has her baby, if there's any other time that she needs to address us,
Let's
you come
move on.
first.
I tried.
I
Yeah, but it was too late. We
know.
should have put her in after the wrestlers.
I know.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All those in
Second.
favor? Oh, second, yep.
Look at, she's like,
Our superintendent is voting as well.
we all said aye.
Aye.